Insurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Warrior star Steph Curry agreed on a one-year, $62 million extension, according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Keeps him under contract with Golden State through the 2026-2027 season. Curry will become the third NBA player to pass $500 million in career earnings, along with LeBron James and Kevin Durant. The Patriots named Jacoby Brissett their starting quarterback. He held off a late surge from the third overall pick in the NFL draft, Drake May. It's the right call by New England, believes our Harry Douglas.
When I look at the New England Patriots, I say to myself, okay, is this O-line intact to protect this young quarterback? The answer is hell no. I said, okay, let me look at the skill position players. Do they have a true bona fide number one guy? Am I impressed with the skill position players for the New England Patriots? The next answer is no as well. So why would you put Drake May in that situation?
Jets receiver Mike Williams cleared to play in the September 9th season opener against the 49ers. He's coming back from a torn ACL. Wisconsin's hired longtime NFL coach Jack Del Rio to its staff. He'll serve as a senior advisor to Badgers coach Luke Fickell.
Coming up on Friday's edition on the Sportsmanlike, we're going to get you set for a huge weekend of college football, and who's going to be on upset alert? It's Unsportsmanlike, always good and never an upset at 6 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Go!
Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us, AFR. We are at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport, because why wouldn't we be at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport with like hundreds of people who have been waiting apparently since 10 a.m. Because of an issue getting out of here to go to New Orleans. Are y'all going to New Orleans? Why didn't y'all just drive? Oh, man, I tell you, I mean, we got here. Anyway, welcome aboard. We got a great show. We're locked, loaded, ton to do. We're wheels up with Mr. Fun's Travel in 2 hours. So, well, actually about 6 o'clock. But so I'll do 2 hours. We'll hand it off to Moose. So we'll get to that. I arrived here to the gate where we're set up, and shout out to Bo and all the great people here at Baton Rouge Metro for getting this set up. I arrived here, and there is just a load of people who apparently been sitting here trying to get to New Orleans since 10 a.m. I'm like, bro, you could have walked to New Orleans over the last 5 hours. Anyway, God bless these people, man. Travel nightmares are no fun, but hopefully they're close to their destination. Someone who is already at our destination is our buddy Michael Cauble from WBRZ. He's already in Las Vegas. He's going to jump aboard with us quickly here. Cobbs, how are you, man?
Doing well, Matt. Doing well. Yeah, we're here at Mandalay Bay getting ready for, I guess, all those people to come. There's already Tiger fans here, so should be an exciting weekend. When you talk about Las Vegas, obviously it's almost like New Orleans in the sense that there's always things going on, not necessarily only associated with the event you're going for. Like when you land in Las Vegas, when you drive the strip, you go to Mandalay Bay. Can you tell that there's a big football game there this weekend?
No, it's probably just every other day. There's a huge Cisco convention in Mandalay Bay, so like that's what most everybody's doing right now. But yeah, I'm looking around now. I'm seeing people in LSU shirts. So like they've started. I mean, they were on our flight yesterday out of New Orleans, so they're definitely here, and they're going to be coming with you, obviously. Yeah. And Saturday, with it being a Sunday kick, I think some people are going to wait and roll in here on Saturday, and some people are making a week out.
Yeah, I think even us leaving here Thursday evening, we're early relative to what most people are doing tomorrow and Friday and Saturday. But still excited to get there. Hey, look, you've obviously covered a lot of these. Where does this LSU SC opener Vegas, when you start to think about anticipation and all the different storylines, where's this one?
Yeah, it's up there. It's not Lambeau, right? Because it's not like a historic venue, but it's a historic game. When you think back to 2004 and the last time, these two teams were really mentioned together with that national championship split, that they try to claim. Like we've been waiting for this one for quite some time. So it's not, it's 20 years too late, but we'll take it, right? Like, I mean, I think everybody's jacked up. Vegas is obviously a destination venue, even if it's not a historic one. And LSU folks love to party. Like I tweeted it last night. They drank all the other cities dry. I don't know that they'll be able to hit Vegas as hard. I think they're a little bit better prepared than, Atlanta was, but still, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be fun to watch them try and watch what should be a really good game.
I'll get to the game in a second, the most egregious situation. Now, Atlanta in 2019 was absurd because it happened for the SEC championship game in that Marriott. And then we were back, 3 weeks later for the Peach Bowl, and it happened again. It's like, how did you not know this was coming again? Like,
but it's not like LSU hasn't been there. Like, I've sat in that bar with, nearing thousands of people, and it's like, what's coming. It's like the hurricane track is hitting you in the face. Like, get it together. But, hey, LSU undefeated versus Atlanta.
No doubt. I would say the most egregious, however, was I went in 2021, the Rose Bowl for the UCLA game. I didn't sit in the press box. I sat in the stands we were with the LSU Alumni Association, yeah. And our section, we were told, ran out of beer before kickoff. It was one of the most insane things. Now they did.
Well, that town wasn't even ready. Like the town had no idea that there was a football game that weekend. That's what made me so upset.
Well,
not the case here. They're ready for it. They're jacked. Like I said, we're at Mandalay Bay. I know you got something special planned for tomorrow and the rest of the weekend there, so that should be cool for you guys.
Yeah.
Great venue. Connected to the stadium. I'll let you get into that, but we're getting it going, Matt. We got an hour special tonight.
Okay.
From 7 to 8 on WBRZ. Then we've got a Saturday morning show from 10 to 11 that we're going to do. And then we have the pregame show from 5:30 to 6:30 on WBRZ, leading you right up to kickoff. So a lot of content coming your way. It's crazy because the team won't get here till Saturday, though. Right.
I think that was very calculated by Brian Kelly.
Absolutely.
And also moving, like you mentioned, they were supposed to be staying at Mandalay Bay, and they audibled several months back to move, I believe, to Resort World to get far away from all the stuff that's going to be happening. So Will Campbell made a lot of headlines this week when he said we're not going to Caesar's Palace, we're going to get in a fist fight. But I think that's sort of the feeling that a lot of Kelly and everybody associated with LSU's had. Hey, before you go, and again, Cauble's with us, WBRZ, 7 o'clock tonight, 7 Central on WBRZ for a special. Saturday, 10 to 11 a.m., and then Sunday, they'll lead you up to kick off the game. Of course, it's on ABC, so it's on WBRZ. Give me a thought on, you said it should be a good game. Give me just a 10,000-foot view on the game. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the experience and the dues that LSU has paid in the past will come back and pay off for them this time. Just the general vibe that I get out of this team is that they're fired up. They want to prove, the last couple of years were flukes. And it's their turn, Matt. How often have we talked about college teams, whether it be baseball, basketball, football, when it's their turn, they're able to have a little extra flex. And I feel like that's where this team is right now. I'm hoping we see that on Sunday night.
You'll catch him on Twitter, X, at Cauble, and, of course, all the content there on WBRZ. Thanks, man.
You bet. Have a good trip.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Muse, I missed the Bud Light Open when we started there. Would you hit it now, please?
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
That was a last-minute audible there with Cauble. So, literally, he had just texted me photos of the studio in Mandalay Bay where we're going to be doing our shows tomorrow and Sunday. And so I called him. We were in the top of the hour there at Sports Center. I was like, hey, what are you doing right now? I was like, jump on and let's do 4 minutes and talk a little bit about what's going on in Vegas. So we appreciate Cauble for doing that, and we also appreciate our friends at Mockler Beverage and Bud Light. I've been telling you, we have, courtesy of our friends at Mockler Beverage and Bud Light, 3 pair of tickets for the game that we will be giving away in Vegas tomorrow. So you got to be in Vegas. We're not giving away the tickets to people who are just going to turn around and sell them. We're trying to get LSU fans into the stadium, courtesy of our friends at Mockler Beverage. So if you're still looking for tickets, you can win them. Text the show with the hashtag Vegas. Text the show with the hashtag Vegas. The number's 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. If you're going to be in Vegas for the game, we're going to hook up LSU fans with 3 pair of tickets. So I guess 3 different winners. We'll get a pair of tickets. That makes sense? There's 6 total tickets, 3 winners, 2 each. You got it. Text hashtag Vegas 225-396-4400. Of course, everybody's counting down to this. Brian Kelly was talking about opening up in Las Vegas against Southern Cal on the SEC Coaches Teleconference.
We have to be prepared for everything. This is, a Lincoln Riley-led offense that has a number of different weapons, certainly one that's been prolific in all categories. But we're really just, focused on, executing at a high level. Our guys are at that point now in camp, like everybody else in college football, that we want to play somebody else. So we've got to do a really good job the rest of this week and focus on the rest of our preparation and do a really good job there. And we're going to have to execute at a high level against a really quality opponent.
We are going to have a bit later in the show here, actually, in about 45 minutes or so, maybe a little more than that, actually. Yeah, about an hour. Right about an hour from right now, we're going to have Ryan Abraham with us, who covers USC, and I want to ask him how the USC preparation has gone, because one of the storylines we've talked about here that I do think is relevant is how LSU has managed a lot of these scenarios, like how Brian Kelly's prepared his team, dotting I's, crossing T's. And I just mentioned the decision to move to travel on Saturday and the decision to move the team from Mandalay Bay to Resort World. I think that's very significant. It was trying to limit distraction, because Mandalay Bay, we couldn't get to Mandalay Bay. Like we're doing our shows at Mandalay Bay. They couldn't accommodate us with rooms. Like, it is sold out. So that's a heavy LSU presence in that hotel. So I think it was very smart by Brian Kelly and LSU to move away from Mandalay Bay, down the Strip to Resort World, to get far away from the epicenter of the LSU fandom, which is all going to be right there. Mandalay Bay effectively is the closest hotel to the stadium. There's a walking path under the interstate there that goes right to Allegiant Stadium. So, I mean, it's proximity-wise very smart to be there. But what's a 10-minute bus ride down the Strip? Well, I guess depending on traffic. But if you have a police escort, maybe it's 5. Anyway, if it means a little more seclusion for your team, and I think that's what Brian Kelly's going for. So we'll see how that's going for the Trojans. Ryan Abraham will be here in a little more than an hour from right now. Okay, it is After Further Review, brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020, or williamsoneye.com. If you want to see 2020, call 924-2020. Call Dr. Blake Williamson and just set up that consultation with Dr. Blake over at the Williamson Eye Center. Hester's going to be rolling through here in a little bit as well. He and T-Bob are on our flight. Hester's a Williamson Eye Center patient. He had PRK, had LASIK whenever he was playing, had some other issues with his eyes as he aged, and had PRK a couple of years ago with Dr. Blake Williamson. So no matter if it's LASIK, PRK, that custom lens replacement, the Williamson Eye Center would love to help. So call 924-2020, 924-2020, or williamsoneye.com for the Williamson Eye Center. Okay. We'll knock out a quick break. Muse will have around the SEC. We are bringing back our Fantasy Blitz today. So 1 week from today, the NFL season starts. If you still need help with your fantasy football roster, get your questions in. Our guy Darin Tietgen back for year 15 here on AFR on Fantasy Blitz. So Darin Tietgen will be with us in 30 minutes from right now from whotostart.net. Old habits die hard. whotostart.net. That's coming up in about 30 minutes. So get your questions in. You can email us, tweet us, text us. Lots of ways to get involved in the show. Let me knock out a quick break. A former LSU Tiger is now a member of the New Orleans Saints. We'll talk about him next right here on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's. Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Hey, y'all, look, you know by now, LSU plays on Saturday. Maybe you're having a game watch. Maybe you're having a home gate party. Whatever it may be. Maybe you're just watching the seclusion of your own home by yourself. Get everything you need for your game watch at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com is where you can go. You can download the Rouse's app as well. Hey, remember, if you want ice-cold beer, all your craft beers, your Louisiana craft beers, they got those as well. Maybe you want some sausage or something like that to throw on the grill, they got it. Maybe you're having a whole herd of people over and you don't feel like cooking, they can take care of all your party trays, your party platters. If you want sandwich trays, fruit trays, vegetable trays, if you want ribs and pork and chicken or whatever you want, they can help you out over at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Locations from Lake Charles to Orange Beach, Alabama, and points in between. Rouse's, this feels like home.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Back to school savings at Bayou Ford. $12,000 off F-150, $12,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150, and $10,000 off Expedition. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing
After further review with Matt Moscona.
All right, glad to have you back with us here. We're at Baton Rouge Metro. Fired up to be flying out of BTR. It's much love for everywhere, but it's just easier. Obviously, whenever you go right down the road, you land, you're here. So we appreciate them for being so accommodating to us as well, letting us get in here early, set up, do the show. So that way at 5 o'clock at the end of hour 2, we're going to pack everything. Let me rephrase. Bo's going to pack everything in like 5 minutes, and then we're getting on the plane. We're flying to Las Vegas. So Musso will host we'll host hour 3. Some really, I think, exciting, if not interesting, news for the New Orleans Saints. So much of our conversation all throughout the preseason is centered around right tackle and Trevor Penning. Now, I don't know necessarily that the decision LSU made today, I'll get to that in a second. The decision the Saints made, it does involve LSU, the Saints made today is necessarily one where you brought in a starter to replace Trevor Penning, but it's certainly competition and depth at that position because the New Orleans Saints have signed former LSU offensive tackle Austin Deculus to their practice squad. Deculus, you might remember, finished his LSU career having played more games than anyone in his LSU career, than anyone in LSU history, because he played as a freshman back in 2017, and then he got the extra COVID year from 2020, which he took advantage of in 2021. And so he ended up playing 5 seasons of football. Of course, that's not altogether uncommon anymore where you see 6th and 7th year players, but he never redshirted and got the 5th year. So similar to what Jaden Daniels did who took advantage of his 5th year, but Jaden split it between 2 schools. So Deculus played more games as an LSU Tiger than anyone in the program's history. And today, Austin Deculus, who was cut by the Jets, assigned to the practice squad with the New Orleans Saints. So it's worth noting that Deculus has played both left and right tackle. He was a 6th-round pick of the Texans in the 2022 draft, and he played 2 seasons in Houston and played in total. Let me make sure I have this correct. I'm doing this a little on the fly. I believe it was 12 games that he played. Yes, so 12 career games played. He played in 5 as a rookie in 2022 and then 7 in 2023 at right tackle, although he has played left tackle as well. So you have a guy that's a swing tackle who has NFL starting experience. And forgive me, he's played in 12. He's only started once, but that is experience. He has started an NFL game, but he's played in 12 as a backup. So you have a swing guy here who has an opportunity as a member of your practice squad to give you some depth at a position of great need. I don't know that I'm expecting great things from Deculus because just through the context of what we're looking for through a Saints lens is a potential starter to challenge or take Trevor Penning's job to upgrade at right tackle. I don't know that bringing in a journeyman, a swing guy, depth piece is someone that's going to give you a better option at right tackle, but it's interesting nonetheless. One of the other sort of interesting tidbits from Saints practice on Thursday is that Jordan Mims, the running back, the rookie, undrafted rookie free agent running back who made the team on the 53, was absent today, and Dennis Allen explained why.
Yeah, it was just part of roster management stuff, with a couple of moves. So, but he's on the team, still with us. He'll be here on Monday.
Can we play 4 Muse because there was a follow-up on what he meant by roster management?
Well, as you go through a trade and a claim, and there's got to be some roster flexibility and roster moves potentially having to be made. So,
he got released.
He has not been released. He's on the roster. There's timing issues that go along with all these things in terms of when the report has to happen, when you turn in different things. So we didn't have to make any sort of roster move with him.
That might be like a simultaneous wave, sign, cut. Like it may be something like that because what you don't want to have happen, and this is the reason, right? We talked about this on Tuesday when the roster cut down came. Sometimes, for example, Jonathan Abram was a starting safety for you. It was a surprise when he was cut. We said that's probably a roster management thing where they're going to look to bring him back because he's a starting caliber player and you didn't upgrade. So you cut him knowing full well that another team isn't going to be willing to sign him on and pay him a veteran minimum of north of $1 million when most teams probably already have their depth there as well. So you're running the risk, of course, because someone could sign him, but you say, hey, look, we're cutting you. Don't go far. We're going to sign you back to the practice squad. We'll let everything else settle. And when there's less risk of losing a guy like Jordan Mims, then you can make a move. So that's kind of what that's how I'm reading this is what they're doing. So they're going to wait because they wanted to make sure if they had cut Jordan Mims, then there was a really good chance somebody was going to sign him and then play this same game. So in this instance, the Saints could play that game. They could have him on their 53-man roster. They can wait. Now, we know they signed Austin Deculus. There's another move that we're getting to here in just a quick second. They made a trade yesterday for a defensive lineman, as we talked about. So a lot of this is just how you do it, when you do it, to avoid someone from being exposed to be picked up by someone else. So it's all just playing the cat and mouse game, a lot like the Saints do with the salary cap. Now, the other interesting piece in bringing in Austin Deculus, well, you look at the corresponding move. Well, the Saints did, in fact, waive a guy who's one of the shortest tenured Saints ever, and Kenny Wangwu, the return specialist from the Vikings, who we talked about the Saints signing yesterday, and apparently that fell through. Here's why.
The returner you playing for Minnesota, he wasn't here. Is he traveled?
He'll be waived with the failed physical designation.
So Kenny Nwangwu will not be a member of the New Orleans Saints, waived with a failed physical designation. So a guy we spent a good amount of time talking about yesterday and how his role may fit on this team clearly isn't going to fit on this team at all because he failed his physical, and that's kind of the knock on Kenny Nwangwu. His first 2 years, very dynamic return man, but he started his rookie season on IR. Last year went on IR, so injuries at times have been an issue, and they sort of manifest there as well. So the Saints continue to move rosters. Why? Worth saying again, I mean, it's never the first, or it's never the final 53. It's the first 53 that's released on Tuesday because you're gonna invariably, every team without fail is going to have more roster movement like we saw here in the last 2 days with the Saints adding a return specialist, trading for a defensive lineman. Jordan Mims isn't there because they got to work the roster, and Austin Deculus today. So it's just a thing that they're going to continue to move the pieces on the chessboard until they can figure out what the 53 are that they go into against Carolina a week from Sunday. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. We're brought to you today and every day by our friends over at Relief Windows. As a matter of fact, my buddy Brandon, Holly, and Adrian, they're going to be on this flight as well. Excited to get to spend some time with them here this weekend as we go to Vegas. And I tell you all the time, if you need windows, doors, siding, they do shutters as well. You need Relief Windows because they're just the best. At Relief Windows, look, yes, windows are a commodity. You could buy windows almost anywhere. But when we're talking about a premium product like their Geldwin wood windows, these are wood windows that come with a lifetime warranty. For some people, that would sound like a punchline. For Relief Windows, that's their reality. And I know I say this often, but it's worth mentioning. Look, if you're just shopping price, if you're getting 10 quotes to see who's going to be the cheapest, don't call Relief Windows, because they're never going to be the cheapest. They can't be the cheapest. When you're selling a premium product, when you have the level of customer service, when you have an entire service division, not your install techs or your measure techs who also service clients. No, because that part of the business has to keep functioning. You have an entire service division to service your customers. All that costs when you're able to offer a lifetime transferable warranty. So you're getting a premium product, you're getting exemplary service. They're just the best to deal with. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door, siding, Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Hey, one more here from Dennis Allen, who met with reporters after practice. He was asked, this is to Muse, if we could, he was asked about any other roster holes that they see right now with kickoff week 1, a week from Sunday.
Listen, I feel pretty good about where we're at on the roster. So I don't know that there's a particular spot where where we're necessarily looking that, oh man, we gotta do something here. And yet, over the course of the first part of the season, there's a lot of roster moves that still take place. So we're certainly going to be keeping an eye on who becomes available. And if somebody becomes available for whatever reason, and we feel like we can add somebody that helps our team, we'll do that. I mean, that's that way every year. There's always things that are happening, and you're always looking for ways that you can maybe improve the roster. But the reality is that when you get to this point, there's not a lot of options that become available.
See how you can become incrementally better. We'll see what the Saints can do between now and kickoff against the Panthers a week from Sunday, week 1. As a matter of fact, the NFL season kickoff is a week from today, with the Chiefs hosting the Ravens as the Chiefs begin their quest for a three-peat. Okay, it's After Further Review. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. Muse will go around the SEC for us, and a couple of other things that we got to get to here in this next segment. Number one, Matt McMahon and the basketball Tigers are landing a major visit. Not going to spend a ton of time there, but I want to talk about it. And a very familiar name has earned the starting job at his new spot outside of the SEC. We'll get to that as we continue. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Get Gordon and get it done. 2 things to tell you about right now. Of course, if you want to participate in Gordon's Design My Billboard contest, you could do it. Go to getgordon.com/billboards. Getgordon.com/billboards. Calling all creatives. You can design Gordon's next billboard. You can win up to $2,000 in prizes and see your design on Gordon's next billboard. It's easy. Go to getgordon.com/billboards. As a matter of fact, as I was driving to the airport here today, as you're coming around the curve by the governor's mansion on the right side, there's a big billboard. It's the Gordon's Guess billboard. So go to getgordon.com/guess. There's a date on there, August 28th, 2013. And they want you to guess what the significance of that date is. And the 8 people who correctly guess it are going to get a $100 gift card. The giveaway runs until September the 10th, so check it out at getgordon.com/guess, Guess, getgordon.com/guess. Get Gordon. Get it done.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There's nothing chill about a hot, sweaty line. Unless you add Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
All right, rolling along here, hour number 1. We're at Baton Rouge Metro. We're going to be wheels up with Mr. Fun's Travel here this evening. I got 90 more minutes. Muse will handle hour number 3. Mike Triplett rejoins us. Excited about that, man. We'll have Mike Triplett with us all throughout the Saints season again in his Thursday spot in hour number 3, so bookmark that. And remember, if you haven't done so yet, check out LouisianaSports.net. It's our new property. You know, we launched 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge almost 15 years ago. 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago now, we built out our video studio to expand into the video space. The last frontier was the written word. So now we have LouisianaSports.net, a totally free website. Ross Jackson leading our Saints coverage, Hunt Palmer leading our LSU coverage, Chris Marler handling the SEC and a lot of socials. And we're going to continue to grow and scale in time. But in the meantime, totally free, no paywalls, no subscriptions, no annoying assault of pop-up ads, just free content that we hope you really enjoy. And I will mention as a plug, if you're a business owner, you're interested, in the same way as we launched 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, our introductory sales packages are like virtually giving it away. They're dirt cheap because we just want to start to cultivate and build great relationships with advertisers and with businesses. So if you're interested, let us know. You can reach out to me personally. I'm happy to send you some of that info. Okay, it's after further review. By the way, a guy from not far from here, Eli Holstein, from, of course, prepped. We started in Lafayette, moved to Zachary, committed to and signed with Alabama, transferred to Pitt. Well, Eli Holstein has won the starting job for the Pitt Panthers. He'll start the opener Saturday against Kent State. Holstein, who's a redshirt freshman, he beat out Nate Yarnell for the starting nod after they They really battled throughout spring and then throughout summer. So Pat Narduzzi said both are expected to play against Kent State, but Holstein's going to get the first shot, so we'll see how he does. Of course, Holstein had a monster career at Zachary, threw for over 7,000 yards and 62 touchdowns. And, that Pitt this year under Narduzzi, they've overhauled their offensive staff. Western Carolina former Western Carolina coordinator, Cade Bell, has gone to install this sort of up-tempo system. Of course, we saw Holstein run that with tremendous success at Zachary, so should be a real fit there. Wish him well. So Eli Holstein, son of former LSU punter Scott Holstein, who started his career at Bama, now is a redshirt freshman, is over at Pitt, and he won the starting job for their opener. So we wish Eli Holstein good luck. Look for him this weekend as they take on Kent State. All right, y'all, it's after further review. Muso, go ahead and take it away with Around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Florida Gators.
Florida running back Montrell Johnson has been cleared to play against number 19 Miami on Saturday. You'll remember Johnson had arthroscopic surgery on his left knee after sustaining an injury during the first week of fall camp. He returned to practice this week, was listed as the starter Wednesday. Billy Napier confirming that news Wednesday after practice. Johnson has played in every game since following Napier to Gainesville from ULL, has over 1,600 yards rushing, 15 touchdowns in 2 years with the Florida Gators.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Tennessee Athletic Director Danny White will become one of the highest paid athletic directors in the SEC after his contract was amended. This comes from Brent Hubbs, courtesy of On3. The new contract runs through July 31st, 2030, and has an automatic annual rollover, meaning that White is always on a 6-year contract. And then, of course, there's the raise. His base pay effective August 1st, 2024, going from $2.2 million to an annual base of $2.75 million, making him one of the highest paid ADs in the country. Texas's Chris Del Conte has a guaranteed salary of $2.85 million in 2024, according to published reports.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
And a really cool story out of Norman. Star Oklahoma linebacker Danny Stutzman is sharing $50,000 of his own NIL earnings with the walk-ons on the team. The senior announced the news during a team meeting on Wednesday night. The $50,000 will be split across 18 walk-ons. Stutzman is also gifting them each a JBL care package. You might remember he went viral last season after the Red River rivalry, wearing the golden hat on his head, cigar in his right hand, flashing the horns down. Stutzman has an On3 NIL evaluation of $305,000. That is Around the SEC.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gents, football season is here. You know what that means. Your days are going to be completely consumed, and you're probably going to be ignoring your significant other. The best way to make her thrilled with that decision is to get her a beautiful piece of jewelry, and our friends at Lee Michaels can help. lmfj.com, lmfj.com. In all seriousness, though, we're getting closer to the holidays. Maybe you're thinking of popping the question. If it's that time, Lee Michaels can help. They do an amazing job of taking something that is inherently uncomfortable and unfamiliar, walking into a jewelry store, buying a diamond. It's not something we do every day. And they make you very comfortable. They're fantastic at that. They've been doing that for more than 40 years. They have an amazing selection. So Lee Michaels is local. You can go cookie-cutter big box store where you're not going to have a lot of selection and it's going to be impersonal. You can go small boutique where maybe you're not going to have a great selection and prices are going to be higher. Or you could find that perfect balance in the middle. That's Lee Michaels with 9 different locations. They got plenty of selection. If they don't have what you want, they can find it or they can make it. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. Hey, the other story I wanted to get to real quickly, and I know, by the way, LSU basketball coach Matt McMahon will be in that number Sunday night at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas for LSU and Southern Cal. 5-star power forward Chris Senack, he's a Louisiana native. He's from New Orleans. He's put LSU in his top 12 schools for basketball. He's the number 5, by the way, he's the number 5 overall prospect in the country. Number 5, he's power forward, New Orleans native, number 5 overall prospect in the country. He was from Newman and is now transferring to Link Academy in Missouri for his senior year. But he's got LSU on his list, and he's going to visit LSU officially November the 9th. You don't have to check your calendar. I'll tell you, November 9th is the Alabama game. So naturally, very wise. You're going to bring a 5-star power forward, the number 5 overall prospect in the country. You're going to bring him into campus. You want to have a show, bring him in for Alabama weekend. Naturally, that's what Matt McMahon is doing there. So Chris Senack, keep an eye on it. Formerly of Isidore Newman, now of Link Academy up in Missouri, will be on campus for the Alabama game. See if Matt McMahon can keep building there. With that basketball program with a lot of expectation. Well, plenty of time to talk basketball, though. I mean, we're wheels up later this afternoon or early this evening out to Las Vegas to watch LSU and Southern Cal. If you're not familiar yet with our schedule, Off the Bench will be live, of course, 7 to 10 Central from Mandalay Bay inside their sports books on Friday. We'll be there as well from 3 to 6 Central, same spot. Then on Sunday, Eagle 98.1 game day with Charles Hannegriff, 5 hours prior to kickoff. As soon as the game ends, T-Bob and I will be live for Whiskey and Wine for 90 minutes. Then after Whiskey and Wine, Charles Hannegriff is back for Eagle 98.1 game day post-game. So ton of content for you, radio and on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. So if you're not there, please subscribe. If you're there, please smash the like button. Let a friend know. That's where you'll find all of our content on video all weekend long. All right, it's after further review. We're here at Baton Rouge Metro, and I got another hour and 20 minutes or so. Fired up about this, man. Our guy Darin Tietgen, whotostart.net, jumps back aboard with us for the Fantasy Blitz. We've been doing this literally since the show started. I mean, it would have been the 2010 football season would have been our first football season, so we're coming on now. I think this is 15. This will be the 15th season that Darin will have joined us. So if you've got questions for your fantasy roster, fantasy drafts are happening, trades, whatever. You got a fantasy football question, get our advice from our guys at whotostart.net. You can get your questions in. Email us, tweet us, or text us. Text in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Fantasy Blitz with Darin Tietgen from whotostart.net is next on AFR.
AFR.
Love telling you about Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. You know where to find them. Siegen Air Airline, LA 16 in Denham. Mid-City on Donmore and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. I say it every day, buy local, shop local over at Clegg's Nursery. They've been local for 60 years, man, 6 decades. How many businesses come and go in a matter of 6 years, 6 months, 6 decades? Clegg's Nursery has been serving the greater Baton Rouge area. So, they got great people, got a great selection. Get on by any of the 4 locations. And also, if you're a hunter, remember, they got all the goods now. They got Buckbusters, they got Mobucks, they got deer corn, they got rice bran. They've got it all. You're setting those plots for Bambi to come on by so you can smoke them so I can eat them. Go by Clegg's Nursery and get what you need. Any of the 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. And, of course, y'all, I know you look at it's 78 right now because it's cloudy and rainy, so we've got a little bit of a cool down. But you know the temperatures are still oppressive right now. Of course, they've got all the Johnny Naylor seeds if you're looking to plant those fall vegetable gardens at Clegg's Nursery.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
After further review with Matt Moscona. After further review, this is the Fantasy Football Blitz.
Do you know who I am?
Powered by whotostart.net.
Who the hell are you?
Whotostart.net. The Fantasy Football Blitz.
Who the bitten?
This is the Fantasy Football Blitz. Powered by whotostart.net.
All right, year 15, why not? Let's welcome aboard our guy, Darin Tietgen, whotostart.net. It's a Fantasy Blitz. We are 1 week away from the opening night of the NFL season, so it means it's time for drafts, trades, getting your roster set before week 1 in the NFL. Darin's with us. How are you, man?
Hey, it's good to be back. I was actually thinking if this was year 15. That's quite a miracle.
15, man. Like, that's
yeah.
We've done a lot of things on this show that have come and gone. 15. That's pretty incredible. We do have new imaging though for the first time. Kept some of the drops, but new imaging. So I guess after 15 years, it's time to put a new coat of paint on the thing. Hey, let's delve into it. I know we're going to get a ton of questions. If you got a question for Darin, email us, tweet us, or text. You can text 225-396-4400, 396-4400. Darin, we're going to get into all these questions. There's a bunch already lining up, but let me just start with are there big picture, give me the 10,000-foot overview. What are the things that are most people want to know right now?
It's kind of been a developing thing over the past several years, but I'm really waiting on quarterback this year. I mean, you can get a guy like Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff, much later in your draft. Load up on those wide receivers, load up on those running backs, maybe mix in a stud tight end, but you could really wait on quarterback this year. Look for the sleepers. Look at some draft rankings. There's plenty of options online that you could find for free. Look at those running backs that are going to catch some balls, because if you're in a PPR format, obviously if they catch 3 or 4 balls, there's 3 or 4 points right off the bat. And of course, what they do with those catches is a bonus. But yeah, look for those sleepers, and then just definitely wait on quarterback.
Do you have any sleepers in mind that would be available for most people?
Yeah, I marked a few down. I mentioned Jared Goff. He's currently ranked on some formats that we're looking at is right around quarterback 15. But he's got a ton of weapons. He's going to be in a dome. That's obviously a good thing for the fantasy playoffs. You want to be not in the snow, of course. Javonte Williams at that running back looks like he's got the full-time gig there in Denver. Obviously, with Sean Payton's system, he's going to run that first running back into the ground. Of course, he can catch the ball out of the backfield too. So, working with a rookie quarterback, we really like Javonte Williams. Wide receiver, we like Chris Godwin over there in Tampa. The Bucks are installing I want to call it a LA Rams style of offense, and Godwin is actually in the Cooper Kupp role. So look for him to see a ton of targets. Mike Evans may actually outscore him, but you could actually get Godwin several rounds later. So definitely like Chris Godwin. And then maybe a little bit of a deeper sleeper at tight end. We like Hunter Henry. With Jacoby Brissett starting, he's going to look for Henry as the most reliable pass catcher in that Patriots offense.
All right, let's get to some questions. We got time here with Darin, so we got about 7 minutes or so. So we got time to get tons of questions in. Line them up. You can email us, matt@1045ESPN.com, matt@1045ESPN.com. You could tweet me at Matt Moscona, or you can text in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400. Start with an email. This is from Leslie, who got in early. Said, hey, Darin, I'm looking for the best individual defensive player to draft. Who you got?
Well, I mean, if you're looking for an IDP, I always go with linebackers just because I like to say that they're kind of the running backs of the defense. They do the most. They touch the ball the most. They get tackles. They get fumble recoveries. They can sack the quarterback. And right now, it's probably a toss-up between Foye Oluokun for the Jags and Roquan Smith for the Ravens. Either of those two linebackers would be my first IDP choice.
All right, here's one from Paul Matthews on the text line. Said, Darin, who to start? He's got PPR flex. He's got Jaden Reed or Aaron Jones.
If you're looking at a long-term starter or just a week one starter, probably it's going to be two different answers. I think you probably go with Jones right off the bat for week one. These offenses are going to take a couple weeks to get started. Obviously, the preseason has happened, but the preseason doesn't really mean much these days. I think Aaron Jones will touch the ball quite a bit for that Vikings offense with Sam Darnold under center. So I would prefer to lean towards the running back for first week.
Darin Tietgen, who2start.net. It's the numeral 2, who2start.net. Hey, Darin, before I go any further, I know sometimes we have a promo code or for the station. Is any of that set up, or are we going to do that later?
No, we still have the. I think it's just ESPN gets you 10% off.
Okay. When you go to who2start.net, the numeral 2start.net, promo code ESPN, get you 10% off. Here you go. Greg Lehman said, Ask Fantasy Guy. He said, I'm in a half a point per league, half a PPR league, and I'm picking second. Who should I take?
Second in a half PPR. There's two schools of thought. Either you load up on those really good wide receivers, or if you want to go running back early, I don't see any reason not to do that. So if you think that your competition is going to go running back heavy, and CMC goes first, I would probably opt with Breece Hall. If CMC goes first and you want to go with that running or the wide receiver, obviously with CD Lamb now with his contract in Dallas, he's a great second pick there for you.
Dion Santiago said, Darin, am I crazy to think Cooper Kupp will reclaim wide receiver 1 status in PPR over Puka? Said value is insane for Kupp's ceiling.
Yeah, we like both wide receivers. Obviously, both are pretty much healthy. Puka had the little knee banged up, but he's supposedly going to be good to go. I really think it's kind of a 1A, 1B type of situation there in Los Angeles. Both guys, I mean, Puka's going ahead of Kupp, so maybe Kupp is the better value, if you will. But I think both wide receivers are going to have great year for Matthew Stafford and the Rams.
Darin, I'm getting a lot of questions from people asking who they should pick in certain spots in their draft. Do you want to run? Would it be easier just to run through how your board looks, maybe in the top 10, how you would value players in a ranking?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to depend really on your scoring system, and of course how many, some leagues start 2 wide receivers, some start 3, some have more flex. But my top 10 really, you kind of interchange, like I kind of talked about with that other question, you kind of interchange Lamb and McCaffrey at the top there. And then you're talking about guys like Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, Jamar Chase, and Amon-Ra St. Brown are a couple of really nice wide receivers. Then you get into some other wide receivers like A.J. Brown and Garrett Wilson. And then towards the end of that first round, we're looking at running backs like Jonathan Taylor and Jahmyr Gibbs.
A couple more minutes here with Darin Tietgen, who2start.net, the numeral 2start.net. Here's one from Lane who said, I'm in a super flex league. Do you draft your quarterbacks early, or do you load up on running backs and wide receiver while everyone else picks quarterbacks?
I just did a super flex draft on Tuesday, an industry draft, and I actually had the first pick, and I was really contemplating whether to take that first quarterback first or like the person here is asking, load up on the wide receivers and running backs first. I ended up going with the first quarterback, and I'm kind of glad I did, because those quarterbacks go really, really quick in the first and second round. And if you're picking early on in the round and you don't pick your quarterback first, your first quarterback is going to be, I'm not going to say he's going to be garbage, but you're going to be really scraping for that first quarterback. So if I'm picking in the first couple of picks there in a super flex, I'm definitely taking the quarterback.
This is a good one from Joe. Obviously, we're in LSU. You're going to get a lot of LSU questions. Asking about Malik Neighbors and where you project him here.
I like him. I was talking to a friend about this actually a couple days ago because he's actually being drafted kind of as a second wide receiver in a league that starts 3. However, I think that's a little bit dangerous. I would actually project him more as a third wide receiver. He's going to get a ton of targets, but let's be honest. Let's look who's throwing in the ball in Daniel Jones. I don't have a ton of confidence in Daniel Jones. He's going to see 140, 150 targets, which could be great. That could, turn into 70, 80 catches and maybe 6 or 7 touchdowns. But if you're drafting him as your second wide receiver, that might be a little dangerous.
He's Darin Tietgen, who2start.net. Thought on Brian Thomas, the other LSU receiver.
I like him. I think this Jaguars offense is going to take a step forward from last year. Trevor Lawrence has Christian Kirk to throw to, but besides that, Gabe Davis is kind of a boomer bust type of wide receiver. It's been said that Thomas is going to take that Calvin Ridley role, which for Ridley last year meant a lot of targets and a lot of production. So Thomas is definitely on my sleeper list and could really do some good things here this year.
Darin Tietgen, who2start.net, our Fantasy Blitz, week 1 week from tonight. We're looking forward to. We'll talk to you then. Thanks, D.
All right. Thank you.
Be well. Brett McMurphy confirming this news. Tonight's game, North Carolina at Minnesota, pushed back to 9 Eastern because of potentially severe weather. Of course, that's former LSU quarterback Max Johnson starting for North Carolina. Now they'll be at Minnesota, but an hour later. Hour 2 next.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Of course, if you're looking to buy tires, buy the best tires on the road at the cheapest price possible. That's Shawbills. So go to ShawBillsTire.com. You can shop tires. You can schedule service. It's all there at the website, easy to use. And you can look at all their dealer specials. When you go to the website, just hit the promotions tab at the top of the page, and you'll see all the specials, the dealer specials and the in-house specials. So they do a great job combining those offers to get you the best price possible on the best tires on the road. So, of course, you want to buy the best tires at the cheapest price. You do it at Shawbills. They guarantee it. Buy tires at Shawbills. Find that tire advertised somewhere else cheaper, they'll refund you 125% of the difference. They guarantee they are going to get you the best price on tires, and they treat you like family. They've been doing that since 1968. So go to ShawBillsTire.com to find the location nearest you. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. It's Shawbills, where we keep you rolling.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting Warriors star Steph Curry's agreed on a one-year, $62 million extension. It'll keep him under contract through the 2026-2027 season. He will become the third NBA player to pass $500 million in career earnings. Colorado set to kick off its second season under Coach Deion Sanders tonight at home against North Dakota State. Keeping the pressure off, quarterback Shedeur Sanders sacked 52 times last season. Just one key for the Buffs against the Bison, points out ESPN college football analyst Greg McElroy.
It's going to be up to Deion Sanders and his staff to make sure that his players' skill, speed, talent, acceleration, athleticism, that's what wins in the game, because if they want to get into an old school throwdown slugfest where it's 3 yards in a cloud of dust, you're playing right in North Dakota State's hands. So I think they need to be super careful tonight against a team that's super physical and plays with the chip on their shoulder.
Colorado, North Dakota State, 8 Eastern on ESPN. NFL, Patriots name veteran Jacoby Brissett their starting quarterback. He held off a late summer surge from rookie Drake May.
Here's one stat that's super simple to remember. Discover automatically doubles the cash back on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cash Back Match. With Discover, you could turn $150 cash back to $300. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us, AFR. We are not in the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio. We are at gate A2 at Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport. Mr. Fun's Travel, we're going to be wheels up to Vegas here in less than 2 hours. So you got me for one more hour. We'll pass the baton to Musso, who'll take you for hour number 3. Mike Triplett, about an hour and 15 minutes right now. We're looking forward to that. We're going to head out to L.A. in our next segment, and I'm excited about this. We're talking to Ryan Abraham, who covers the Trojans. And we've talked so much over the course of the summer, as we are sort of want to do whenever there's a marquee opener, because you tend to follow more closely what your opponent's storylines are throughout the summer months and the spring and the summer months. I remember, when LSU opened up against Oregon back in 2011, that great game in Arlington when LSU just blew the doors off of a top 5 Oregon team. That was a very fluid offseason for Oregon. There were a lot of storylines because you might remember Kiko Alonso, who ended up playing for the Saints later, but was a great linebacker who got in some trouble off the field. Like, his status in that game was a big storyline. So you tend to follow, the opponent really closely. And naturally throughout this offseason, all of the defensive transfers for USC, Miller Moss starting at quarterback, of course, new defensive coordinator, and Dan Lynn. the storyline that you've started to see here of late, USC bulking up their defense. There's a feature they wrote. They added 1,400 pounds collectively among all their defensive players. So hard to put that into context. I don't really know if that's a lot. I mean, I guess it sounds like a lot, but when it's a whole bunch of really big people, is it just marginal? Anyway, I don't know. But so we'll talk to Ryan Abraham, and I do think I am really interested also in how they handle the game and the opener and the neutral site, the marquee nature of this. Like LSU hadn't handled it well the last 4 years, and now one of those was obviously a home game, the 2020 game against Mississippi State. But I think every game also comes with its own context. 2020 was COVID. There was so much involved there as well. You didn't have full stands. It was the first year of Mike Leach. Bo Pelini was obviously a disaster, and they just didn't adjust. I don't know necessarily that it mattered that it was week 1 or week 12. I mean, that defense never adjusted with Pelini. They were terrible the whole year. It just happened to be the opener with State. The UCLA game, similar. You had a new defensive coordinator, a new offensive coordinator. I mean, Ed Ogeron knew very much that he was coaching for his job that year, and it was Jake Peetz and Durante Jones. I mean, those were who he went with to try to save his job. And Peetz had never been a play caller, and Durante Jones hadn't been a defensive coordinator since 2009 at the Division II level. So, I remember hearing stories of people on the field at the Rose Bowl that day about Pete, how nervous, like Peetz was wearing the nerves on his face. Like, it was very unsettling, and it didn't work against UCLA clearly. But then the last 2 years, it's been Brian Kelly, and I don't even know necessarily that I would say they weren't prepared to play. I think last year, as we learned, Florida State was an awesome team, and even still, you went into the fourth quarter of that game in a one-score game, and if you remember, like the first play of the fourth quarter, Jaden throws the ball down the left sideline. Malik Neighbors slips, and the ball's intercepted, and then the snowball sort of got rolling in the fourth quarter. But, I mean, you're a score away from tying the game there in the first possession of the fourth quarter. It's completely different if Malik doesn't slip. So I'm not saying LSU would have won the game, but my point is context matters. And, of course, what Brian Kelly inherited in 2022 was not a very good situation. So they got better and improved as the season went along. I mean, Garrett Dellinger was starting at center. You hadn't yet inserted Emory Jones. So, sometimes it's not just about why do you struggle so much in openers. I just think context matters. And this is clearly the most stable this program has been under Brian Kelly, where they are right now. As a matter of fact, if you haven't read it yet, Charles Handegriff, shout out to Hanny, of course, everybody knows Hanny's been doing radio for 30 years, thereabouts. But Hanny's going to write a column a week for us over at LouisianaSports.net, and it's going to go up on Thursday. So Hanny's column went up this morning if you want to go read it. You get it on the socials, and it's right there on the homepage at LouisianaSports.net. But, Hanny basically laid out why year 3, not only for Brian Kelly, but historically at LSU, year 3 for coaches have been really good. And I think that's part of the reason why maybe I'm more optimistic despite, the defensive staff changes and losing Jaden and losing two first-round picks at receiver. Part of the reason that I'm more optimistic is because of that. Brian Kelly told us at SEC Media Days, the reason his teams tend to do well in year 3 is by then he has laid the foundation, built the culture to where everybody knows what the expectation is. The baseline expectation, they've achieved it, and now they can start to add more. Matt Mauck was with us yesterday here on the show, and one of the things Matt Mauck said was, he got to go to the first practice, the first practice of fall camp. That was when he was in town, and he told Brian Kelly afterwards how surprised he was at how fluid, how efficient, how sharp everything was at the first practice. Typically, you don't see that. Well, part of that is just having built that culture in the program over 3 years, going into year 3 now. So we'll see how it manifests, and we'll start to get those answers on Sunday night. Something else that I found so interesting, and hat tip to our guy Hunt Palmer. I swear I didn't mean to make this a LouisianaSports.net segment. Hunt's our LSU guy over at LouisianaSports.net. Of course, is our midday host here, leading up to us on AFR. But Hunt was there for player interviews on Tuesday, and the two defensive players that spoke were Harold Perkins and Greg Penn. And if you were here throughout fall camp and all the practice reports we gave, time and again I referred to this sort of NASCAR cheetah package. Everybody calls it something different. But it's a look where you get a bunch of edge rushers on the field. And what we saw when LSU went to this package was Parashand kicked inside. Your ends, so sort of like a three-man look, your ends were Deshaun Womack and Braden Swinson. So your three-man front was Braden Swinson, Deshaun Womack, and Parashand in the middle. Harold Perkins would stand at one of the ends, usually on the left side, and then you had Whit Weeks as the lone off-ball linebacker. And we saw that a bunch in fall camp. We just didn't know what it was called. Well, now we know what it's called, and Greg Penn sort of explained what Blake Baker calls that package.
I mean, the prowler front is really important in our defense. Coach Baker, he calls the prowler front his baby, is what he calls it. So, yeah, so, I mean, he creates a lot of different mismatches and things like that. So it's really good in what we do as a defense. So, but we can't get to the prowler front if we don't handle things on first and second down to get them in third and long. So I think everything just comes together with everyone doing their job.
Spoken like a veteran. By the way, so it's prowler. So when you see that front, that mismatched front of a whole bunch of edge rushers, take the big guys off the field, and it's just your best pass rushers. That's what he calls the prowler front. But listen to what Greg Penn said. He said Blake Baker calls that his baby. It's the thing that Blake Baker wants to do is create pressure. I mean, I've told you when we got to watch a lot of these 7-on-7s, like the 2 Saturdays ago when Nuss was being pressured, it was a Kylan Jackson safety blitz. Nuss didn't see it. He's backpedaling, tries to fire to the sideline, didn't get it there. P.J. Woodland ranges over, gets the interception. Like, that was in that package. So you're going to see that, but like I said, you got to get into those situations on third and long when it's not 3rd and 2, and, of course, you're going to have size on the field because you don't want them to run over your smaller guys. You want to put the edge rushers on the field. Harold Perkins also talked about the prowler package.
I wanted to ask you about the prowler front that y'all have. How do you use that to create pressure?
Coach Baker get freaky with that. Like, never know where the pressure gonna come from, you know what I'm saying? Like, it may look the same, but it's gonna be different every time. So it's really up to coach. Whatever he call, I just go out there and I just execute. Same with my teammates, they go out there and they execute.
Coach Baker gets freaky with that. Harold Perkins' direct quote about Blake Baker and the prowler package. So, yeah, I can't wait to see it, but the situation has to present to use it. And in order to do that, you got to be really good on first and second down to get to third and long so you can put that package on the field. But when we see it, we'll know it. We'll see how productive it might be when LSU plays SC Sunday night at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. And that, of course, is where we're headed. We're at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. Thanks to Baton Rouge Metro for rolling out the red carpet and being so hospitable. Like, they let us take over gate A2, which is we got our whole TV set up here on A2 so we can stream video as well. So we appreciate them greatly for letting us do this and getting in here early. And thanks to Bo Wegman, our engineer on site, for getting everything working as it should. All right, we're going to knock out a quick break. When we come back, Ryan Abraham is going to join us. Ryan Abraham covers the Trojans. Excited to get a check-in with sort of our opposing media guest before LSU and USC Sunday out in Las Vegas. That's next. Stay with us here. It's AFR.
After further review.
Buying or selling, commercial or residential, think real estate, think Darin James. I love sharing the statistic with you because it'll never get old and it tells the story. If you're thinking of selling your home, why would you call anyone other than the realtor that sells more homes than anyone? That's Darin James. The Wall Street Journal puts out their Real Trends list every year. Top 1% of realtors in America, the top 1,000, the top 1% of realtors in America. This year, Darin James was number 1 in Louisiana and number 13 in America on the number of homes closed. Do I need to say anything else? When you are literally getting to the closing table more than any other realtor in our state and more than all but 12 realtors in America, you're doing something right. So you need to sell your home. You need to sell it fast for the most amount of money. You need Darin James. 335-7666, 335-7666. That's 335-7666 or agent225.com for Darin James.
Think real estate, think Darin James.
There's nothing chill about a hot, sweaty line. Unless you add Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you.
After further review with Matt Moscona. The Tigers are on the hunt. Let's head behind enemy lines to preview this week's matchup.
Ryan Abraham, USCFootball.com, has the honors to give us a little peek behind the curtain with the Trojans. Ryan, it's a pleasure, man. Thanks for joining us again. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I can't believe it's almost here. We just a couple days away from kicking off the college football season for most of the country. We had some week 0 games last year, but just long off season, so I'm really excited for football now.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of teams in college football that are open with real duds. Thankfully for LSU and USC, we had a lot. This is a hell of an entree, to warm us up throughout the off season. If I asked you to gauge sort of the temperature of the program right now, coming off what has to be considered a disappointing year last year, given the expectation and the resources, where is the 10,000-foot view of USC football today?
It's getting a little better than it certainly was at the end of last season. I think the whole season, USC fans were upset at the defensive performance. They weren't really a fan of Alex Grinch and wanted Lincoln Riley to fire him after year 1. He didn't get fired until 10 games in, and it was a little too late at that point. And losing 5 of your last 6, the recruiting wasn't going that well. They just weren't on top of things NIL-wise. There was a lot of negativity around, but I think they got some momentum back going into the bowl game and seeing Miller Moss throw 6 touchdown passes and feeling like the future of the program, there's some brightness there. And when they hired Danton Lynn and brought in a whole new defensive staff, a bunch of guys that were maybe overqualified for the positions that they got hired for at USC, I think people felt a lot better about where the direction was going. Of course, the first going to be the pudding, what we see on Sunday in Las Vegas, but I think the fan base started to buy into, okay, it looks like this can turn things around. And if they go out and give up, 55 points or something in the desert, it's going to go right back. But I think right now they're feeling a little bit better about the way things could go. And, having a good showing on Sunday would go a long way to keeping that going.
I would wholeheartedly endorse LSU scoring 55 on Sunday in Allegiant Stadium. I would love to. Hey, LSU and SC, we've talked about it so much. The teams are so similar. From your perspective, where do you have the bigger question? Is it what does this new look defense look like, or what is the offense going to be without Caleb Williams?
It's more on the defensive side. I think the biggest question is probably what they're going to do on the offensive line, because they love Jonah Monheim, but go from left tackle to center, that's a big move. And they love Elijah Page, who's going to be the new left tackle, but he's a redshirt, freshman. And so there's some questions there, and there's not as much depth. I think on the defensive side, just because they performed so poorly the last few years, what is this group going to look like? But there's a lot of quiet confidence when you're talking to the players and the coaches. I don't think they have the depth that they would like on the defensive line, especially in the middle there. But there's enough guys there. We saw Denton Lynn turn UCLA from a really bad defense to like the number 2 defense against the run last year in just one season. So I think that's where a lot of the optimism is. But where you want to see the real changes, Lincoln Riley's just had great offenses every time he's, whatever quarterback he's rolled out there, they've had a great offense. So I think for me, it's more on the defensive side, just seeing how much they'll improve, but how much they can improve, I think, will determine how far this team goes this year.
He's Ryan Abraham, USCFootball.com, taking a look at the Trojans. I want to dig a little deeper there on the USC defensive line, because if we're looking through from an LSU perspective, it would seem the biggest mismatch that favors LSU, of course, LSU's offensive line against that USC defensive front seven. Can you just give us a little bit of a thumbnail dive deeper into that defensive front and what that LSU offensive line is up against?
Yeah, they don't really have a true nose tackle, but Bear Alexander, who transferred in from Georgia, he had a sack in the national championship game against TCU. He's kind of going to be the center piece of that. He potentially was going to go in the portal and end up sticking at USC. So he's kind of like he's the guy that really needs to perform to make that line go. And they brought in some transfers, but they didn't get, I think, just like LSU, they tried to get some of the big name defensive tackles, and those mostly went to the NIL superstars like the Oregons and the Miamis of the world. But, they bring in Gavin Meyer from Wyoming, who was more a rotational guy, but they really like what he's done so far in camp. And Nate Clifton from SEC country, he comes over from Vanderbilt, put on about 20 pounds. He's going to play inside as well. Now, they'll rotate a bunch of guys on the edge. Jamil Muhammad was pretty productive, at least in the early part of last year. A guy like Braylon Shelby is a sophomore who they have a lot of high hopes for. So I think it's going to be a lot of rotation. You'll probably see a lot of different guys kind of coming in and out. But the main one is it's going to focus on Bear Alexander and trying to keep him healthy. I think, from the interior spot, maybe you're not getting a lot of numbers, but he really has to be a disruptor because it's a very stout LSU offensive line. Maybe they can exploit a little bit at the center spot where there's been some questions, and that would be Bear Alexander's job. But he's going to be, for me, he's the key for the whole defensive line.
What about in the secondary, Ryan? That seems to be where, as I read the tea leaves, SC seems to be most excited about the talent on the back end. How does that matchup go with a really talented LSU receiver core?
Yeah, they brought in Doug Belk, who is the defensive coordinator at Houston, and they've recruited that position well. It's just one of those California positions where there hasn't been a drop-off like maybe at some of the linemen. And I think they liked where they were, but they still brought in a bunch of guys that can be very productive. Achille Arnold is going to be one of the team captains for this game, coming over from Oregon State. Carlos Nicholson comes in from Mississippi State. He could play a big part. Greedy Vance has played LSU twice. He was at Florida State the last couple of years, and they brought him in late. Really didn't need him. He might end up being their starting nickel. So I think they had a really good core group of guys already, and then they brought in a bunch of transfers as well. So there's a ton of depth. I think that's where probably the deepest position on the team, and I'm not sure which group is going to go out there, if they're going to move guys around depending on the down and distance and everything. But they have a lot of options in the secondary. I think they feel a lot better than they have the last few years.
What would be an acceptable performance Sunday night for the USC defense?
I mean, it's a good question. Like numbers-wise, I think a lot of it's eye test. Like you just don't want to get pushed around. I mean, if you go back to USC playing Washington, Michael Penix threw the ball all over the field. Washington ran all over USC last year late in the season. It was like, that's not even a running team. But I think you want to see them just look like they know what they're doing. Last year they would be looking at wristbands as the ball was being snapped, not sure what's going on. Really just being able to play fast. And if you give up some points or big plays or whatever, that's fine. But you want to see them look like they know what they're doing. Guys are just running around with the football. if you force some turnovers or make some big tackles, I think that's a big thing. And I think just tackling, not having like 15 missed tackles like they would have in games like that. I mean, I don't want to put like a number on it.
Sure.
It could be a low-scoring game, a high-scoring game, but you just want to see a product on the field. They're like, what they look like in the Holiday Bowl, even without Tietgen running it, looked more like a competent defense. I think that's really what you want to see if you're a USC fan.
Got a couple more minutes here with Ryan Abraham from USCFootball.com, owner publisher over there. If you want to give him a follow, let's flip it over to the offensive side. We know the storylines around Miller Moss replacing Caleb Williams, but where is the strength of that offensive unit?
So I would go with the wide receiver core, and especially there are 4 true sophomores that all came in the same recruiting class, and usually they don't hit on a bunch of guys like that, but all 4 of them have the potential to be superstars. Like, people know about Zachariah Branch because he's also working, special teams and can return kicks for scores and things like that. But 2 really big receivers, Deuce Robinson is 6'6", and Jacoby Lane is 6'5", 6'6" range. Both big guys, huge catch radiuses, and they can make contested catches and be really athletic out there. And then Mekhi Lemon comes in as well in that class, and he came in with Malachi Nelson, a former 5-star quarterback. They came in together, and Nelson's now at Boise State. But those 4 guys, I think everyone's really excited about. They played well. All of them, Zachariah Branch didn't do much in the Holiday Bowl, but the rest of those 3 guys all did. And you kind of pair them with some veteran transfers that they have brought in, but that's the core of this group. And I think Miller Moss trying to find those guys that, like he did, he had 6 touchdown passes in the Holiday Bowl. A lot of them went to those guys. I think that's where the strength is going to be. If USC wins this game, that group of wide receivers probably had to have a big game for that to happen.
Is there any trepidation around Miller Moss taking the reins?
He's been very well liked by the players, and I think the coaching staff as well. Lincoln Riley could have gone out and brought in a veteran quarterback, and I think like Ohio State did and other programs did. But I think what Moss did in the Holiday Bowl showed Riley enough. Okay, he's capable of running this offense and producing the kind of output that he's used to. I mean, Miller Moss will be the 6th starting quarterback that Lincoln Riley's had as a head coach. Of the previous 5, 4 of them were Heisman finalists, and the other one, was drafted in Spencer Rattler, and he was replaced by a Heisman winner. So he's had a really good pedigree with quarterbacks. And the fact that he didn't go out, he brought in a younger quarterback in Jade Mayava from UNLV that could be more of a future guy. I think that just showed he had a lot of confidence in what Moss could do. Maybe it's confidence in what he can do. I don't know. But he hasn't had any duds yet at quarterback. So if Moss is, he would be the first one.
We seldom talk about the third phase, but the third phase the last 2 years for LSU a lot of times has been an exercise in futility, if not an altogether challenge. Where is SC if you think about special teams, if it's field position and punting, the return game, place kicking if it comes down to a field goal? How confident should Lincoln Riley be?
Yeah, I think very similar to LSU, they've struggled. I think on the special teams side, they probably lost that Cotton Bowl to Tulane because of a special teams gap where you're taking a kickoff at the 2-yard line or whatever. So I feel like he's tried to address it in the offseason. They bring in a long snapper they're going to put on scholarship, Hank Pepper, to kind of fix up the problems they had there. Michael Lance was the kicker at Georgia Southern. They brought him in, even though their incumbent is still there. But there's been a competition. It looks like Lance is going to win the job. I think they've put more resources into special teams, trying to make it better. They weren't very good at putting kickoffs into the end zone and, gave up a bunch of returns. So I think they've tried to address it, like I'm sure like LSU has as well, but it has been an issue. And, we've seen LSU struggle in the first game with some bad special teams plays. I think that could be a big determining factor, but I think at least on the USC side, they really tried to address some of the problems that they had. Last year, Dennis Lynch would hit some tough field goals, but he missed a lot of them between like the 30 to 40 range, which you got to get those. So they're hoping Michael Lance can fix that and, not having snapping issues, just go forward with that. But it's definitely been an issue the last couple of years. It's something they've worked on.
Last thing, if there's aside from scoring 55 points, if there's a blueprint for SC, if it goes completely as Lincoln Riley would have it go to script, how does that look Sunday night?
I think just being able to get some stops on the defensive side, not giving up third and longs and missed tackles and a lot of busted coverages. Just keeping you don't have so much pressure on the offense that they have to score every time they touch the ball, giving a young quarterback like Miller Moss some leeway to be able to hand the ball off more. And, maybe it's 3rd and 5 and you try to run the ball and you don't force them to throw something and pick up a first down, great, otherwise punt it. And then give him an opportunity to find those young wide receivers. So I think it starts on the defensive side where you're just so many games, you just felt like Caleb Williams knew he had to score every single time he touched the ball. And that's a lot of pressure. So I think for Lincoln Riley, if you just don't put that pressure on the offense and let them kind of click, they'll score some points. But it's a lot easier to when maybe you're up by a touchdown or you feel like the defense can get a stop versus, okay, we have to score every time or we're going to lose this game.
Ryan Abraham, USCfootball.com. Check it out. You want to cover the Trojans, get the latest as we inch closer to kickoff, get it there, USCfootball.com. Ryan, we appreciate it, man. Thanks so much for the time.
Oh, thanks for having me. See you guys in Vegas.
Absolutely. We are actually in the airport, getting ready to fly out to Vegas. We'll head out tonight. Here, actually, I've got 30 minutes left. I'll hand the baton to Musso, who'll take you home in the last hour. Mike Triplett will be here in about 45 minutes. We'll start our weekly segments with Mike. We're looking forward to that. But, yeah, we'll be live in Vegas tomorrow off the bench in their regular time slot, AFR. We'll all be at Mandalay Bay. So if you know someone who's in Vegas or going to Vegas, let them know. They'll find us live there in the sports book at Mandalay Bay. Hey, we're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. Tell you every day, new and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. Go into the parking garage right here at Baton Rouge Metro. You'll find my black Atlas Cross Sport. I love it. Had the Atlas, the 3-row, 7-seater family SUV. Cross Sport takes out the third row, little sleeker, but all the style, the feel, the performance of luxury. Erica, she drives the Atlas. She kept that third row, helps with Drew when we go on vacation, need a little more space. No matter what it is, you'll always get a great deal at South Point Volkswagen. And they got the Labor Day sales event going on right now. How about 2024 Jetta, 2.9% for 60 months, a $2,000 customer bonus. Check it out, all the deals right now at South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Glad to have you aboard with us here. I got 30 minutes left. A new segment this football season on Thursdays. We're going to welcome handicapper Lee Sterling at the end of hour number 2. So in 15 minutes, we'll have Lee Sterling with us to give you his best bets for the weekend. And now, obviously, being college football weekend, and the college football weekend starting tonight, we'll get Lee Sterling here. We'll give us some preview and best bets. It'll be an NFL and college blended segment on Thursdays, but obviously the NFL starts a week from today. So Lee Sterling here in 15 minutes. We'll preview the biggest games of today, Thursday night football, including Coach Prime, year 2, getting kicked off at Colorado tonight. We'll talk about it. Glad to have you hanging out with us here on this a Thursday edition of AFR.
After Further Review.
Man, I'm so pleased to tell you about our friends over at Duplessis Builders, duplessisbuilders.net. Derek Duplessis and his great staff. Been telling you for months now, if you're thinking of buying a pool, building a pool, renovating, remodeling your current pool, you need to call Duplessis Builders. A great story. I mean, Derek is an engineer by trade. Went to LSU, mechanical engineer, with a minor in aerospace engineering, worked as an engineer. Sister wanted a pool, said, I think I can do that for you. Built the pool. That first year ended up doing 8 pools, completely flipped. Year 2 did more than 60 pools, and now one of the fastest growing pool builders in our market. And the work speaks for itself. It's exquisite. You can go to the brand new showroom right there on Airline Highway in Gonzales. And the process is so interactive, too. They don't want to just give you plans for your pool. They want you to see, and they'll hold your hand through it. You can pick out the tiling and the coping and the finishes, so you're part of that process from start to finish, and you'll be thrilled with the exceptional quality of work. It's Duplessis Builders. Check them out at duplessisbuilders.net.
Back to school savings at Bayou Ford. $12,000 off F-150, $12,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150, and $10,000 off Expedition. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
All right, glad you're back with us here, rolling along. We're at Baton Rouge Metro. A big shout out, Jason Ramazan, Mr. Fun's Travel. I've been traveling with Jason for a long time, man. Years and years and years ago. The first trip I ever went on was an LSU Alumni Association trip when Jason was with the Alumni Association, and he was dubbed the nickname Mr. Fun back then. I'll tell you, the first game I ever went was the Patrick Peterson Alabama game, the interception on the sideline, 2009. And was doing a show at the time on the Score 1210 in Baton Rouge, and they were the Alumni Association was kind of looking to sell tickets and seats on their trip for that game, and we partnered with them and had a great relationship since. Our relationship with the Alumni Association has continued. Jason's not with the Alumni Association anymore, but still operates Mr. Fun's Travel, so we were able to partner with Jason on this trip to be able to go. So I know Hester and T-Bob, I think, are here in the airport somewhere. T-Bob texted me a bit ago. He's like, where do I go? I swear, for a grown man with a wife and children, the inability to master even the most menial tasks without being told what to do, it's mind-boggling. Like, walk into the front of the airport and check in, man. What do you mean, where do you go? You go into the front of the airport. Anyway, but Hester and T-Bob will be here. You probably heard the news, and congrats to Jake. Doug Morrow, former Tiger great, long-time color analyst on the LSU Sports Radio Network. He's taken a leave for this year from the broadcast. It's disappointing, and wish Doug all the best, man. Just as a personal anecdote, Doug Morrow has been a sensational friend, I would say mentor, cheerleader of mine. I mean, I'm talking for almost 20 years. Doug always has a kind word to say, an encouraging word to say. Just one of the truly, truly good guys. I mean, I think everybody knows Doug Moore. I mean, he was a public servant for so many years in our community, and everybody knows him, obviously, from being on the radio broadcast for 40 years. Bo, do you know the year when Doug started? If you don't know it, it's fine. When? He's been on the radio broadcast since the early 70s. It's incredible. I mean, he's been doing it forever. So, anyway, I think Doug is having some maybe some health challenges that caused him to step away from the booth. Initially, I remember having these conversations with Jake Hester over the past several months, and we knew that he was going to be doing the road games. But I think the plan initially was for Doug to do the home games. I'm not sure what changed, but Jake will be doing the color along with Chris Blair for all the LSU football games this year. So that's really cool for Hester, and we're fired up for him. But more so, and Gordy will still be on the field, but more so thinking about Doug and going to certainly keep him in thoughts and prayers, and for whatever is going on there with Doug, hope he comes through it quickly and is back in the booth next year as quickly as he can possibly be. But I mean, anybody that knows Doug Morrow knows that. Like, I mean, yes, he was a great football player in his day, had some great moments for LSU, bowl game moments. Has obviously been we've heard his voice forever on these broadcasts. I mean, so many of us our entire life we've heard Doug Morrow on the broadcast, but mostly just an awesome person and friend. I mean, I'm not eulogizing Doug Morrow. I mean, he's very much alive, but I'm thinking about him. I'm thinking about a guy who's been so kind and courteous and generous and encouraging to me, both personally and professionally over the years. I mean, Doug's the kind of guy that'll take time to write you a note that is so seldom done anymore. And just to say, great job with this, or congratulations on that. He's that kind of man. And I wish well for him, and I really sincerely hope that he's better soon and back on the broadcast soon. All right, it's after further review. I'm glad you're hanging out with us here. We are going to get to handicapper Lee Sterling here in 5 minutes. So I have exactly 2 minutes right now because I got to stay on time. So let me very quickly remind you about our friends over at Evermore. Man, I'll tell you one of the disappointing things about being in this airport. I love this airport, but they know Evermore to buy in here. I'll tell you what they will have in Vegas, Evermore, because they got like a national deal with 7-Eleven. You go to 7-Eleven anywhere in the country, you'll find Evermore. So you better believe I'm going to go find me some Evermore in Vegas. But I'll have to deal with the lesser waters while I'm here. But and the bottom line is, go grab some Evermore. It's a healthier option, natural artesian water. It's a Louisiana product. Don't buy that crinkly plastic bottle from Texas. Don't buy a square bottle from a tropical country just because it's got flowers on it. Buy a better product, a natural artesian water from right here in Louisiana on the North Shore in Covington. It's Evermore. EVAMOR. I was talking to Shane Menard earlier today, as a matter of fact. Evermore.com, Evermore.com. Drink Evermore. EVAMOR. Good slate of football games tonight. And honestly, when you're football starved, any slate of football games is a good slate of football games, so that's what we got tonight. NC State's a ranked team. They're at home against against Western Carolina. I am excited for the Jackson State at ULM game. New era for the Warhawks. And General Booty, that's Abram Booty's son, who had started his career at Oklahoma. He's transferred to ULM. He's won the starting job. So General Booty will be starting tonight. That's going to be a fun one. A couple of SEC teams in action. Missouri is at home against Murray State. Arkansas also opens up their season. Utah opens up its first game as a member of the Big 12, hosting Southern Utah. And maybe the marquee game, if for nothing else, just because of the interest, Coach Prime in Colorado, ESPN, 7 o'clock Central against North Dakota State. The Bison, who have been one of the more dominant programs at the FCS level. The Bison going to Boulder, year 2 of Coach Prime in Colorado. How does it go? The Buffs are a 10.5-point favorite in that game, but because of the Bison and their success on a national level, at the FCS level, there's a lot of people who maybe have Colorado on upset alert. I do like the Buffaloes in that game. I like them not only win, but to cover. I think Colorado's going to surprise a lot of people. We forget, Deion Sanders inherited a program that won one game. He went from 1 to 4. You could talk about the collapse, but don't ignore the fact that they quadrupled their win total from the year before. He's a good coach. They're going to do fine this year. I think they make it to a bowl game. All right, let me knock out a quick break, final break of hour number 2. When we come back, professional handicapper Lee Sterling is going to join the show, give us the best bets for tonight and for this weekend of college football. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Glow Resources. They're online at glowresources.com, glowresources.com. They are complete employer solutions. If you're a business owner and you're struggling with efficiency because you're struggling with people, if you hire and fire quickly, if you hire and you hire the wrong people, and then being in your organization makes you less efficient and costs you money on the bottom line, you need to get it right the first time. Stop with the guessing game. You can trust Glow Resources. If I ask you the question, how many interviews do you do in a year? How many candidate interviews do you do? Well, Glow Resources does about 50 a day, and about 15,000 over the course of a year. I don't care how many you do, it ain't 15,000. They know the right questions to ask to get you the right people qualified for the job to find the best, most efficient way to get you on and get you back to productivity. It's Glow Resources. Check them out online at GLO. It's glowresources.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
The best-kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
There's nothing chill about a hot, sweaty line. Unless...
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Wrapping up hour number 2, Yuso will drive you home after we chat with Lee Sterling. I'm hopping on a bird to Las Vegas. And Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports, good enough to join us, acclaimed handicapper to talk about the biggest games in the college and NFL weekends ahead. But, of course, it's all college this weekend. Lee, it's our pleasure. Welcome aboard. How are you, sir? Bo, I don't hear Lee. Bo, I don't hear Lee.
Phone on that plane?
Sorry, Lee, we didn't have you up. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Free cocktails on the plane?
Oh, dude, wait a minute. When you're going on a charter, of an LSU fan charter, you better believe the cocktails are going to be flowing on the plane, man. Everyone will be Vegas ready by the time we touch down.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
how about this?
yeah.
So my daughter shut me out. So her fiance is good friends with Braxton Berrios. You know I think she's Instagram famous Alex Earl. Have you heard of her?
I'm probably the wrong guy
Social
to ask,
media.
Lee.
Okay. So she sends me a picture of the private jet they're taking to the Miami, Florida game.
Nice.
And I said, I'm in. She goes, there's only 10 seats. You're number 11 and 12.
Oh, man, when dad is bumped, it happens. Hey, what a slate. Let's start there with Miami and Florida. It's pretty fascinating. I don't think many people would assume the Gators would be a home dog, but here they are. Mario Cristobal, you a believer? They're a 2-point road favorite.
I think finally Miami's going to turn the corner. I mean, he's been building this team from the inside out. You look at their line; they are like an SEC line. The problem was just didn't have the quarterback. Obviously, Mario's endgame decisions, not taking the knee, cost him one game alone. But they've got the best quarterback maybe since the late 80s, early 90s in Cam Ward, since maybe Vinny Testaverde or Gino Torretta. They have an offensive and defensive lines ranked in the top 10. And Florida's offensive line ranked 28th. Their defensive line barely in the top 50. Unless Miami turns the ball over 3 times, and Florida only had 7 takeaways the entire season, I think Miami's the right side here. I think Sunbelt Billy might be gone by the end of November. Miami, right team's favorite, 31-24.
Man, I don't know that LSU is going to face Billy Napier by the time LSU gets to Gainesville. Flip side of that, of course, is what's going to happen in Kyle Field as Mike Elko will make his debut against a team where he once coached and a quarterback who he coached a year ago. The incestuous nature of college football in the portal era. A&M, a 2-point home favorite over top 10 Notre Dame. Make it make sense, Lee.
I think Connor Wegman's going to be an NFL quarterback. He might even have a chance of starting at least a really good backup. I think he's that good. And I don't know if Riley Leonard even gets anything more than a tryout, but I think he's a better college player. I mean, when he's healthy, he is a scary dual-threat quarterback. He's had nothing to work with at Duke. Can you imagine him with Notre Dame with better players, better offensive line? And the Notre Dame defense allowed just 3.5 yards per carry last year, only 52.4% completion percentage. I mean, you don't hear those kind of defensive numbers anymore. They have the number 29 special teams, and this Texas A&M team, they're going to have to piece it together without their top 2 receivers from last year. One graduated, Smith, the other transferred, hit the portal, and their defense might have 4 transfer starters. I like what Elko's doing. I just think it's going to take time. Wrong team favorite.
Wow.
Notre Dame outright 20-16. Yep.
Okay, but that would be a big one for Marcus Freeman, especially for playoff. When you're looking at Notre Dame can't win a conference, they got to get an at-large bid to get in. That would be a huge start. Speaking of new coaches, Elko, obviously Kalen DeBoer is new coach in Tuscaloosa. We've talked about it a ton. Lee, I don't know how you don't have somewhat of a regression losing the greatest coach of all time. Bama's a massive favorite over Western Kentucky and former LSU quarterback TJ Finley. It's a 30-point line. But maybe a bigger picture question there on the Tide this year?
I think we're going to see some situations where they're going to have some problems, and that deficiency in talent is going to show up. I just don't think so in this game because I think it's the matchup. So Alabama returns 3 starting offensive linemen plus Washington transfer Parker Brailsford, who's really good. I think Alabama's running backs are underrated. Justice Haynes, and I love this name for a running back, Jam Miller. So Jalen Milroe is he's one of these guys. If he doesn't see something open, he can take off and go 30, 40 yards. And that's going to really hurt Western Kentucky. They allowed 4.9 yards per carry last year, and they only returned 2 of the front 7. I mean, TJ Finley, I'm still trying to figure out why did he transfer from Texas State? That's my alma mater. I mean, he had it going on there. I mean, did that kind of cross into your mind?
No, because, I mean, look, I've seen him go from LSU to Auburn to Texas State, now to Western Kentucky. I mean, why not? If somehow he gets a 6th year of eligibility, go play somewhere else. Just collect helmets. Just collect helmets from all these schools.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess he wants mini helmets or maybe the real ones to put up somewhere. But I don't get it. I know Austin Reed had a lot of success last year, threw for 31 touchdowns. So he throws for 25, 30 touchdowns. I think he would have been better off staying here. Western Kentucky played one real tough opponent last year, Ohio State on the road. What did they do? They were in the game for 8 minutes. They got trounced 63-10, and it was worse, if you watched the game. Katie barred the door, Alabama, 51-13.
Big pick there. Lee Sterling at Paramount Sports. Lee, we got 2 minutes. I got 2 more games I want to ask about. You wanted to give out a free play with Kentucky and Southern Miss. That's a big line there, Lee. Kentucky 25 at home. What you thinking?
Yeah, I found something in this game. If they want to get it for free, just call my number, 800-400-9741. Give it first 10 callers for free, 1-800-400-9741. If they want to check me out, Matt, go to my website, Paramount Sports. It's my 31st year in business, played quarterback in the early 80s for Southwest Texas State, now Texas State University, and we won 29 out of 30 years. So
awesome.
You're looking for someone to give you their best shot. I watched every single Division I spring game and about 40 FCS spring games. So
God
I'll put in
bless
the
you.
time, and I'm usually win more than I lose.
That's awesome, man. ParamountSports.com, ParamountSports.com, and the Twitter handle as well, at Paramount Sports, if you want to check out Lee's work. And that number again, 800-400-9741, 800-400-9741 to give you that free play on Kentucky and Southern Miss. If you want to call that number, you can do it right now, 800-400-9741. All right, I got to get a thought on LSU and Southern Cal. Mirror images, Lee, with these two programs. How do you see it going Sunday night out in Vegas?
Yeah, you have two third-year coaches looking to turn the corner, get into the college football playoff. That's what's going to make this season so great. I mean, you could be sitting 15th, 20th, 25th, and you run the table the last 2-3 games, you got a shot to get in. So I think it's going to be a fun year here. I think LSU is in a better spot, even without Jaden Daniels. His passing will be missed, but they got 3 offensive line potential all-conference first or second team guys. They ran for 6.2 yards per carry last year. USC's run defense allowed 4.8 yards per carry. They returned 1 starting defensive lineman. Look at the transfers on the defense who they brought in. 1 from Vandy, 1 from Georgia State, 2 each from UCLA and Oregon. And I think they're in trouble. LSU by double digits here, 35-24.
Home team. How about that? Lee Sterling just gave LSU by double digits. The place going wild here at the airport. 800-400-9741. 800-400-9741 if you want that free play on Kentucky. And, of course, ParamountSports.com. Get him as well on social media at Paramount Sports. He is Lee Sterling. Lee, we're really looking forward to doing this every Thursday, man. We appreciate the opportunity. We appreciate the opportunity, the insight, and we'll talk again next week with some NFL football on the docket as well.
All right, come back in one piece, okay?
You better believe I'll do that. T-Bob is the one we got to worry about. That's Lee Sterling. We appreciate it. All right, it's after further review, top of the hour. I'm getting out of here. We're getting on a plane. Musso drives you home. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
All right, got to remind you about First South Farm Credit. If you are thinking of buying land in Louisiana, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Go to firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com. Your first call, your first option for land is First South Farm Credit. They've been doing it since 1916. World wars, the Great Depression, economic upticks, downturns, natural disasters, and they've been through it all, helping Louisianians do one thing: buy land. So if you're a farmer and you need those 1,000 acres for agriculture, maybe you're a hunter and you want that recreational property, First South Farm Credit can help you find exactly what you're looking for. Maybe you want to buy that 20 acres to build your family's dream home. First South Farm Credit can help. Start at firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com. Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. That's firstsouthland.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Warrior star Steph Curry agreed on a one-year, $62 million extension, according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Keeps him under contract with Golden State through the 2026-2027 season. Curry will become the third NBA player to pass $500 million in career earnings, along with LeBron James and Kevin Durant. Patriots named Jacoby Brissett their starting quarterback. He held off a late surge from the 3rd overall pick in the NFL draft, Drake May. It is the right call by New England, believes our Harry Douglas.
When I look at the New England Patriots, I say to myself, okay, is this O-line intact to protect this young quarterback? The answer is hell no. I said, okay, let me look at the skill position players. Do they have a true bona fide #1 guy? Am I impressed with the skill position players for the New England Patriots? The next answer is no as well. So why would you put Drake May in that situation?
As quarterback Dak Prescott continues contract negotiations with the Cowboys, he admitted today he stopped listening to things owner Jerry Jones said to the media a long time ago, quote, "It really doesn't hold weight with me," end quote.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay and benefits, and one of the country's top workplaces? Come join their growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride!
Hour number 3 of AFR off and running here on a Thursday. Musso in for Moscona for the final hour here to drive you home. If you're just tuning in, just hopping off of work. Scone was here for the first 2 hours doing the show from BTR, but it's time to pack up, get on the plane, and head to Vegas. So Scone and the boys are about to board and head out there to Sin City, and, of course, we'll carry coverage for you. Obviously, Friday, presented by Rev and Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, OTB and AFR, and then Eagle 98.1 Game Day on Sunday. So for 1 hour, to take us the rest of the way, I'll be doing the honors. Cade Wazan stepping in for me here, and Paul O'Neill staying put. Paul's not doing much
Paul
over there.
O'Neill's name.
There we go. Paul's been telling me all day that he's probably not even going to listen to me here in this hour and just work on stuff for YouTube. So if you're curious about what Paul O'Neill is doing, that's what he'll be doing. What we will be doing, we'll be talking plenty more about LSU USC. It's what we're going to do here momentarily in this segment. Mike Triplett going to join us here in the next segment to talk some New Orleans Saints. Plenty of roster moves still happening for the Saints. Obviously, Austin Deculus, former LSU Tiger, signing to the practice squad today. That's kind of the big news. We'll get Mike's thoughts on that as well. Still have to hit Tigers in the pros. Get you a little bit of preview for the college football weekend as well. I know Matt highlighted a few of the games that are coming up tonight before he jetted out. And Otter Locks. Look, man, college football is here. Week 1 gets underway tonight. You know Otter's going to have plenty of action everywhere. So we'll bring on Jimmy as we normally do. Jimmy's already in Las Vegas. Him and Hanny doing the show earlier from Circa today. So we'll head out to Vegas, talk to Otter, and get some plays for tonight's action in college football. So fired up, jam-packed hour here to send you into your Thursday evening. Let's start with some LSU football. Of course, Tigers and USC Sunday from Allegiant Stadium out there in the desert. Wanted to kind of dive in and talk about the LSU running backs a little bit here. That's been a big conversation, and it's a conversation I had earlier today on LSU Daily. If you're not subscribed already, please go ahead and get subscribed anywhere you get your podcasts. I talked about this on that show earlier and kind of wanted to bring the conversation here because when you look at LSU's offense, yes, you're replacing Jaden Daniels, but you feel really good about what Garrett Nussmeier is going to do, at least through the air, right? Yes, you're replacing Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, but you feel good with Kyron Lacey, Chris Hilton, provided he's healthy, obviously, in this game. And you have a plethora of guys behind them as well, whether it's C.J. Daniels, Avion Thomas, it's Kyle Parker. Now, obvious, Brian Kelly's been singing his praises lately. Shelton Sampson, Mason Taylor. There's a lot of guys that are going to catch footballs there. And obviously, look, you have arguably the best offensive line in football. The running back position remains the most interesting aspect of LSU's offense because the thing that you don't have a clear answer to replace is Jaden Daniels' rushing yards. Like, that is the one thing that you circle and go, okay, how do you replace over 1,000 yards? Garrett Nussmeier's not going to run for 1,000 yards. He's going to do a lot of great things in this offense. That just isn't one of them. And that you know that. Like, I'm not breaking news right when I say that. So you're going to have to lean on your running backs and the offensive line. And that's been the narrative all the way back since spring. Brian Kelly, when he met with the media the first time in spring practice, was asked that question about how do you replace Jaden Daniels' rushing yards. And that's when, you're sitting there listening to it live and you're thinking, okay, this is where he's going to talk about the step that Caleb Jackson's taken. This is where we're going to talk about Josh Williams. Maybe the freshman Caden Durham's going to get some pub here. And Brian Kelly took it a completely different way. Do you remember what he said? He took it and focused it solely on the offensive line. So we're going to lean on them. We have playmakers on the offensive line, and we feature playmakers here. So they're going to feature, or we're going to feature the offensive line is what Brian Kelly's going for. And that's really what jump-started the whole conversation around LSU with diversifying the run games, where it's going to be inside, outside. It's just going to look different, maybe even getting the ball into the running back's hands in the passing game. The extension of the running game being the short passing game type deal, which you'll definitely see in Lincoln Riley's offense. You could start to see that in LSU's offense. So, that's where you're really going to go with that. And then even Will Campbell. I mean, y'all, you've heard the Will Campbell audio plenty now about him wanting to get in a fist fight with everybody and blatantly just coming out and saying, we're going to run the ball, like making no secret, we're going to run the ball. Greg Penn was asked about the LSU offense and what stood out, and his answer was physicality and the running game. LSU is going to step into arenas this year and want to absolutely hurt people when it comes to the running game. Like, they are going to go out there and be physical and just try to be tougher than everybody, and they got a pretty darn good chance to do that with the offensive line that they have up front. The question remains how LSU uses the running back room specifically, the rotation that you see, because you have 4 guys and you have 4 very capable guys. So it stands to reason running back by committee is going to be the way to do it. And for what it's worth, it should be. Like, I fully believe LSU goes into Sunday against USC running back by committee. I think you see all 4 guys touch the ball at some point in the game. And that's well and good. LSU's had a great history of using multiple running backs and going running back by committee. But one thing has been consistent in each of those years. You start with 2007. That's one of the best examples to give, right? I mean, you have Jacob Hester and Keelan Williams and Richard Murphy's on that team. There's a lot of guys that got touches. You had 4 guys, I believe, on that team carry the ball 40 or more times, but everybody knew that Jake was getting the ball when you needed the yards. And he goes for over 1,100 that year, and he is the leader, and that's, that is what you remember that season by. Even though others had fantastic runs and fantastic moments throughout, you remember Jacob Hester. He stood up, took hold of the job. That's who they trusted going forward. Now, it's easy to look at this and go, okay, Josh Williams is probably that guy, but sometimes it's been unknown. Look at 2012. I mean, you still have Spencer Ware and Michael Ford and Kenny Hilliard, all those guys back, and you're looking at running back by committee, and then all of a sudden, one night in Tiger Stadium against South Carolina, Jeremy Hill bursts onto the scene and becomes your guy, and becomes the guy, and then leads your team in rushing the rest of the way. Somebody stepped up. Who can that be for LSU? I think the year that most resembles what LSU has in the running back room in 2024, and it could be, is 2011. And I know that can be really exciting, but think back to that year. I mean, your four main guys were Spencer Ware, Michael Ford, Alfred Blue, and Kenny Hilliard. Terrence McGee also carried the ball 30 times. Like, they had an embarrassment of riches. But ultimately, it was those four guys at the top: Ware, Ford, Hilliard, and Alfred Blue. And you kind of had two guys emerge. And that's why I like that as the comp for this year's LSU team. Because if you go back and you look at the stats, Spencer Ware led your team in carries at 177 carries in 2011. He was the guy that when you needed the tough yards, they were going to go to Spencer Ware. Like when they really needed someone to hand the ball to, you needed these 3 yards to pick up a first down, it was going to be number 11. And he was great at that. He averaged 4 yards per carry. It was fantastic. Michael Ford, on the other hand, was this combination of power and speed that could rip off the big run, who led your team in rush yards. 6 yards per carry for Michael Ford. Could you see that? Like, you see where I'm going here? Could you see Josh Williams as that Spencer Ware type? Like, when LSU needs those tough 3 yards on 3rd down or 4th down, they're going to give it to the veteran, the 6th year, number 18. They trust him. Go get it and see if he can get you those yards. And more often than not, Josh Williams is going to do that. For him being 6 years at LSU, there's not a lot of tread on the tires. The guy hasn't had 100 carries once in a season yet. And then could you see Caleb Jackson fitting in more into that Michael Ford role? Power, speed, athleticism. That guy can go out there and average 6 yards a carry. He can break off runs. He can put his shoulder down and put guys in the dirt and just hurt feelings out there. And if you have those two guys as a tandem, then can Caden Durham or Josh Emery settle into that, Alfred Blue, Kenny Hilliard type role? Absolutely. Caden Durham has gotten earned rave reviews so far from Joe Sloan as being ahead of the game as a freshman. Not just, like, oh, the athleticism is so good, you're going to hand him the ball. Playing running back, showing out well in pass protection and things of that nature as well. That guy's absolutely going to see the field, and the type of playmaking ability that John Emery has when he's healthy. You have a four-headed monster in that room, and add in the fact that they're running behind a great offensive line like that 2011 team was, the combination of power and speed with Caleb Jackson and just the veteran grit, trust, you never say die attitude of Josh Williams. I like that as the comp for this year's LSU running back room, and I think they can use it very similar. They're going to lean on Josh Williams for sure, but man, Caleb Jackson just kind of has that feel that when he gets his chance, he's going to make it really, really, really difficult to keep him off the field. So I look for those two guys to both kind of separate from the pack and be the present. Caleb Jackson has a great future, but also be the present along with Josh Williams in 2024 for the LSU running game. They have to for the offense to reach any semblance of the heights that they did in 2023. Because, again, you have to find over 1,000 rush yards that Jaden Daniels leaves behind somewhere in this offense. And I think the bulk of it comes from those two guys, obviously, in those roles that might bring back some memories of 2011. All right. We're going to grab a break. We're going to come back on the other side. Switch gears. Black and gold, New Orleans Saints. Mike Triplett of NewOrleans.football kicking off his weekly spot back here on AFR for football season. We'll chat with Mike next here on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. I love sharing 5-star Google reviews. Here's one from Ricky Gomez, who said Chris, his technician, was very professional and knowledgeable during the HVAC evaluation. He provided details and recommendations in a clear and concise manner. That's one of the things that always stands out. If you're having an issue with your AC or your heater, and River City's 1 Hour Air sends out a technician for an evaluation, they're going to explain your options to you. And that may sound simple, but none of it, I don't know anything about an HVAC, neither do you. Let's be honest. So whenever they go get up in your attic or they go look at your HVAC unit on the side of your house and they come talk to you, they're going to explain very clearly what's happening and your options to remedy it. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. 752-0001.
Back to school savings at Bayou Ford. $12,000 off F-150. $12,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And $10,000 off Expedition. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Mike! Yeah?
New Orleans Saints coverage with some Mad Libs mixed in.
Why don't you just go by Mike?
It's time to talk black and gold with Mike Triplett of New Orleans Football. Presented by Benny's Car Wash. Family owned and operated since 1951.
Well, you know it's football season on a Thursday when you hear Mike Triplett on AFR. And it's time to rekindle that. Get the series started once again here as the Saints are coming up, kickoff a week from Sunday. They'll have the day off tomorrow and then get back at it preparing for the Carolina Panthers. But in the meantime, plenty of roster moves happening even after the initial 53-man set. Mike Triplett, New Orleans Football. Mike, we appreciate it. How are you?
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of like your version of Hank Williams Jr.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. It's just here we go. Let's kick it on off and on the road again. And here we go, man. I'm all for it. Mike, let's start. It's initial 53s there, and it's such a whirlwind news day. And then all of a sudden, right after that, there's just more roster moves anyway. So let's start with the news of the day today, which would be Austin Deculus, of course, former LSU Tiger, 2019 national champion, signed to the practice squad, offensive lineman. We know about the Saints offensive line. What do you make of this move, Mike? Is this more of a practice squad only move, or could you see a scenario where Deculus gets elevated here?
Well, I mean, if ever there was a team you want to get signed to, if you're a offensive tackle hoping an opportunity might emerge, this is the one. Look, obviously he hasn't quite broken through in the NFL. I think he has one career start, but this is now his fourth year in the league, and teams keep giving him a chance. The Saints like what they saw, so definitely a never say never situation. Not the answer we were hoping they would find. Even I was kind of hoping, hey, they're going to claim two guys off waivers, right? They've got other options, right? And it looks like they're gonna have to go into the season with guys we've been monitoring all summer, and those options are flawed. And it's going to have to be hopefully that Clint Kubiak and Rick Dennison and John Benton can scheme their way around the deficiencies there, because there are deficiencies there. So
are you thinking that they don't now? I mean, now that we're kind of this far into the process, are they just set with Fuanga and Penning and
I mean, free agency doesn't have a lot of, we've looked, DJ Humphrey's coming off a major injury. Maybe once he passes a physical, he's a guy they can look at. But everybody else is kind of still out there for a reason. They've gotten older. Their players dropped off. There's injuries. They're considering retirement. There's no real Justin Simmons out there. And yeah, I mean, I don't think the blockbuster trade is coming, or the major free agent move is coming. I suppose it's possible if the early results of the season go even worse than they think. But I think the timing for that would have probably been by now.
What about the left guard spot? I mean, is that you think that's still Lucas Patrick having that lockdown? I mean, is there any shot for Nick Saldivari here to break back in there?
Yeah, well, lockdown is a generous term, but yeah, definitely for week one. I actually just talked to Nick Saldivari in the locker room today. He's feeling good. He's going to be back in time for week one, but he basically missed all of training camp. So I think they're going to need to see him get back up to speed. I think they're going to need to see him looking good in practice. I think Patrick will have to falter in that role. They have a lot more options at left guard than they do right tackle. I mean, Landon Young and Oli Udoh have been working at both spots. Shane Lemieux has a lot of experience there. Kyle Hergel looked good this offseason. Saldivari, obviously. So I think there's a lot of guys they could consider at left guard, but Lucas Patrick is going to, he earned first crack at it. He hasn't been perfect in his career either. But I feel better about that spot than I do about right tackle.
The other kind of newsy thing that happened at Dennis Allen's press conference dealing with transaction was Kenny Wangwu failing a physical and being waived with that designation. That was an interesting move to begin with. A kick return specialist obviously does play running back, but I mean, you have Rashid Shaheed. What kind? I mean, it doesn't really matter now. He's not going to be on the team. But what did you make of that move? And is that a direction that they might address, a position they might address again?
Yeah, I actually think it is. I think it kind of showed their cards a little bit. Part of it is I think he's just a unique player, and he did work with Clint Kubiak and Andrew Janocko and Rick Dennison. They were all on Minnesota's coaching staff with him in 2021 when he had a career-high 13 carries. So obviously he's only been a bit player on offense and more about return. But I think, it sure looked like Jordan Mims was going to get waived and sent down to the practice squad to make room for him when he wasn't at practice. And now he's going back onto the active roster, or staying on the active roster. But I think he's going to get moved down to the practice squad. So, it makes you think that maybe they had a vision for him being part of the running back rotation. And obviously Kenry Miller's at least 4 weeks away, if not more. So, somebody with speed and pop to add to the veterans they have at that position, I think is something they will definitely keep looking for. I don't know how easy that is to find, though.
No, yeah, I mean it's certainly going to be interesting to watch there. It was kind of shocking to see all of a sudden. I mean, I know he's had injury problems, but it's well, he's not. You just sign him, he's not there, and oh well, he failed his physical, so he's not going to be here at all.
Yeah.
The other move that I wanted to definitely touch on before we kind of got into a few other and kind of looking forward questions with the New Orleans Saints is the trade for John Ridgeway, the defensive tackle out of who comes from Washington. Saints getting him and a 7th round pick for a 6th. Thoughts on the trade, Mike, and the player?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're looking at a rotational player. I think they really like Christian Boyd, their 6th round pick. So I don't know if he automatically even moves ahead of Christian Boyd right away in the rotation. He might move ahead of Kendall Vickers in the rotation. Colin Saunders is going to miss a few weeks to start the season, so there's an opportunity for a lot of guys to rotate in there. And I think it was also part of just their sort of internal scouting report on him. As Dennis Allen said, guys that big, and we got to see him today. He is a big dude, man. He said guys that size who show that they have some athleticism and can move with that size don't grow on trees. So you want to bring a guy like that in your building and take a look at him. But, I think we're looking bottom of the rotation, rotating in snaps, probably nose tackle type of guy.
Talking with Mike Triplett, NewOrleans.football here in his weekly spot for football season on AFR, Thursdays at 5:15. You can hear Mike every week. Of course, read his stuff over at NewOrleans.football. Mike, receiver has been a very interesting battle, I guess, if you want to call it, not at the top, but, down below after Shaheed and Olave. You got your full roster. Mason Tipton kind of making the team after a really fast start in camp, but then some injuries. What do you make of how the Saints stand at receiver now through through training camp and with the initial 53 out?
It's a really interesting position because I like everyone that made the roster, and I even like some of the guys that didn't make the roster. But there's just it's so like back end loaded. Like as we said, I feel like they have a number 1, a number 3, and then a bunch of like 4 or 5 types. But I like that they have above means showing promise, and Mason Tipton showing promise. A.T. Perry showed promise last year and then showed flashes of it in the preseason games. Like all those guys, I like having as developmental options at the back end of your receiving core. What they're lacking is, the sure thing, physical presence. Olave and Shaheed are a little redundant in some ways. Cedric Wilson will try to be that, blocking specialist, a little bit more physical than the other 2 guys. But, you really wish they had the Michael Thomas type. You really wish they had the guy who is going to win a contested catch on 3rd and 6, especially since there's questions about whether they have that at tight end too. So I like their depth, but I feel like they're missing like the number 2 guy that makes everybody else make you think that's the best position on the roster.
Is underrated a fair word?
No, because it's a concern. I mean, it's just not top heavy enough. I mean, there's so many teams out here, that have just 2 studs at 1 and 2, and another stud at number 3, and a lot of it is on Rashid Shaheed. I think it's really, really good that we are seeing him back, going full go at practice, running full speed. It's just a reminder, though, when he was out for a couple of weeks with that foot injury, just like how quickly this thing turns to a huge question mark if Olave or Shaheed aren't there at the top of it.
Sticking on the offense, switching gears a little bit. Mike, there's an old saying, right? The most popular player on the team is the backup quarterback. Well, the Saints
This
are
is taking that to an extreme level.
Yeah, a little bit, considering they haven't even officially named a backup quarterback. Where do you think that battle stands? I know Dennis Allen said he wants to keep working them and keep having them compete.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this all week, and we talked about it on the show, and I'm surprised that erupted into what feels like a controversy and criticism, and like everything Dennis Allen said felt no duh to me. And I actually was talking to Jake Keener the other day about one thing NFL teams do a horrible job of is developing young backups. And there were years in the past where Garrett Grayson was the number 3, Ian Book was the number 3, and it was kind of like, all right, we'll see you next year. You can come watch practice. But they don't run the scout team. They don't, they don't rotate in and get plays. They basically never are on the field with the rest of the team running the Saints offense all year. And now one thing they did with Jake Haener last year that I thought was good is he split reps with the scout team with Jameis Winston. They wanted to keep developing Haener a little bit and give him that work, but he still didn't really feel like he was quote-unquote developed. And he said he's really excited about what Andrew Janocko and Clint Kubiak have expressed their intention to do, which is work with them before practice, work with them after practice, walk through plays, let them throw the plays, and that it's important to them to develop their young guys. And to develop both of their young guys and not pick one that's getting tossed aside for the rest of the year. I think the uproar is that I think my interpretation is fans just want to hear that Spencer Rattler has been named number 2 and that he's competing for number 1. You know, I mean, I don't think they want to hear anything other than Spencer Rattler will be starting by the end of September. But I'd be shocked if they were tossing Jake Haener aside. And frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if Jake Haener is number 2 in week 1. You know, he's slightly more polished or experienced just from a year in the league, even though it didn't come with snaps on the field. But nobody denies the upside of Spencer Rattler. And if he was the number 3, nobody would want to see him not work with the number 3. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fascinating to watch. And I think even more so from a, not just a Spencer Rattler should start type, fan narrative, the use that the Saints, the necessity that is the backup quarterback for the New Orleans Saints the last, half decade, I mean, makes that battle all the more intriguing because, I mean, odds are you're going to need him at some point. At least that's what recent history has shown with the New Orleans Saints. Couple more things for you, Mike, and we'll let you go. Your time very much appreciated. Marshawn Lattimore, any update you can give us on how he's looked now that he's returned out there?
I think the most promising news of the week is showing up in practice yesterday and today and seeing him out there doing just about everything. Dennis Allen said he'd still be categorized as limited if they were putting out an injury report, but we're only out there for the first 30 minutes now. It's clandestine mode, but he was doing everything we saw. And I feel a whole win better, in my projection for this team. If I know he's in the starting lineup and full speed ahead in week 1, I really do.
That's good news to hear. And last one, I'll get you out of here on this, Mike. Dennis Allen today said he was asked about any remaining holes on the roster, and you said, he feels pretty good. Are there any remaining holes that you see on the roster? I guess offensive line notwithstanding.
Yeah, I mean, there are for sure places that could badly use an upgrade. I mean, right tackle, the receiver, that's kind of a sure thing on 3rd and 6, the tight end position, even beyond Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau's speed at running back. There are places where they could absolutely upgrade. Where answers exist, though, where there's guys around the corner that could upgrade what they have in the locker room, I think that's really hard to find. I think for the most part, we're looking at the kind of transactions that we've seen this week as the level of transaction you should expect for this team.
He is Mike Triplett on Twitter, at Mike Triplett, NewOrleans.football, with us every Thursday here on AFR. Mike, we appreciate it. Glad to be doing it again, and we'll preview the Panthers next week.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. Fixing to grab a break here. Before we do, Matt will remind you about Supper Club.
We're brought to you by Supper Club. You can book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. One of the things about Supper Club that I love is if you want to go to Supper Club and be a baller, you can do it. You want to go to Supper Club and order a $5,000 bottle of Chateau Lafite Rothschild, you can do it. You want to go have $400 shots of cognac, you can do it. You can have experiences at Supper Club that usually are reserved for Las Vegas and New York and Paris and Abu Dhabi. Like, that's here in Baton Rouge. But the thing you got to remember as well, if you want to go to Supper Club and have the best steak of your life and have a few appetizers, a dessert, bottle of wine, you can do it as affordably as any other restaurant in town. But the experience at Supper Club is unmatched. Introduced open seating at the bar, first come, first serve. So if you knock off of work, you want to head by Supper Club, you can walk in without a reservation, see if you can grab a bar stool or a table by the bar as well. Have a great dinner, maybe cocktail, close some business. Book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com.
All right, we're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. Still have to hit Tigers in the pros, and we will get a little bit of a sneak preview at week 1 in college football, specifically some of the games tonight as well. Otter locks still to come as well. Musso finishing out Thursday AFR here for 30 more minutes. Matt and the gang, they are fixing to be wheels up to Las Vegas. Matt was here for the first 2 hours of the show. If you missed any of that, of course, you can catch it on demand, presented by Brett Goff, or 1045 ESPN YouTube channel, LSU AFR channel, Saints AFR channel. All that, you know how to get it all on demand, presented by Brett Goff. Hour 3 of AFR continues next. Stay here.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, 2 beautiful hotel properties in Baton Rouge, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown right there on Bluebonnet. And when it comes to hosting your event, both the Watermark and the Renaissance are perfect. The Watermark is a gorgeous, elegant spot in downtown Baton Rouge. That wedding reception, that smaller gathering, that meeting space, they can do it. They've kept so much of the history and tradition of that iconic building while modernizing it. The Gregory is a great restaurant inside of the Watermark as well. And then, of course, the Renaissance Hotel, Southtown, right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. It's more modern. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous hotel property at the Renaissance Hotel, where they have meeting space that can accommodate up to 500 people, 7,000 square foot of meeting space, perfectly located right off of Bluebonnet and I-10. It's the Watermark and the Renaissance Hotels in Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Remind you about Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com with 30 offices across 11 different states. If you weigh or measure something, Michelli sells, services, rents the products used to weigh and measure. No matter where you are, you can ship your precision measurement devices to Michelle, and they'll calibrate them for you, send them back, or they'll just come to your office, pick them up, and bring them back. They can also do on-site calibration. If you have equipment that can't leave or you don't want it to leave, they can come do on-site calibrations as well with their mobile calibration labs. It's Michelle Weighing and Measurement, online at Michelle.com. Louisiana-born, Louisiana-owned and operated for 76 years. They've continued to grow, expand their footprint while maintaining that local ownership, local feel, handshake deals, face-to-face sales. It's Michelle Weighing and Measurement. They're also hiring. Check out the careers tab at Michelle.com. Again, online at Michelle.com. Michelle.com.
All right, back here, Thursday edition of AFR. Just about getting ready to put a bow on it. Got a couple things left to do here in this segment. Let's get it started off. We missed it. Lee Sterling at the 4:45 mark now here on Thursday, so Tigers and the Pros will jump around a little bit. Let's do it right now. Tigers and the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Got a good bit to get here. Good bit to get to here in today's Tigers and the Pros. Dylan Cruz is where we will start. So Dylan Cruz playing game number 3 in the major leagues last night for the Nationals. Got his first crack at hitting leadoff for Washington and promptly delivered a Carlos Rodon inside fastball into the left field bullpen for his first career major league home run. Really a no-doubter. Took the fastball off the inside corner and just launched it. So first homer for Cruz. Part of a 2-hit night for Dylan. Would follow up with his second double of the season. 2 RBI and a run scored. All in all, in 3 games so far, Dylan Cruz is hitting .364 in the big leagues. You want to be surprised, but nobody is. He's the greatest player to ever come out of LSU, and he's just off to a fantastic start. A potential date with Paul Skeens looms next week for Dylan Cruz and the Washington Nationals. Yesterday during the show, we updated you mid-game on Astros-Phillies. Get you catch up on how that went final. Alex Bregman ended up with a 2-for-3 day in that one. Both of the hits were, one hit was a single. The other, his 26th double of the year. He was stranded both times he reached base, and neither produced runs. The Astros did win that game 10-0. To minor league baseball, we'll check in on Trey Morgan. He's still scorching hot. He's next in line to get the call up, I do believe, unless somebody like Cam Sanders gets a late call up here. It might not be this season for Trey Morgan, but it's definitely in the near future. 1 for 2 last night for the Montgomery Biscuits. It was a single. He also drew 2 walks. Trey Morgan so far at AA hitting .409. The average has come down a little from the .636 he was hitting last week when we were featuring him, but .409 still not too shabby there for Trey Morgan in AA with the Tampa Bay Rays. Jordan Thompson, been a minute since we've checked in on him. He came through his 13th double of the season last night, scored 2 runs and drove in 1 as well, playing second base there in High A for the Great Lake Loons, of course, in the Dodgers organization. So solid outing there again for Jordy T. And then Riley Cooper, another really solid outing. This one in relief, 3 2/3, 2 earned, and 6 punch outs. Riley Cooper really done great so far in the single A. See if he doesn't get a promotion towards the end of this year or maybe to start next season. But an ERA of 3, they've started him. They used him in the bullpen. He's basically just filling the role that he filled at LSU. Hey, Riley, here's the ball. Go get outs. That's what he does, and he's done it very well there. NFL transaction updates. Terrace Marshall, of course, we told you yesterday, was waived by the Carolina Panthers. He has found a new home already. He will be part of the the San Francisco 49ers practice squad, signing that deal. See if ultimately, once he learns the system, he can get elevated there and start catching passes. Obviously was fantastic at LSU. It's just been a slow start to the NFL career. Talked about it in the last segment with Mike Triplett. Austin Deculus, 2019 member LSU Tigers, greatest team of all time. He is now a member of the New Orleans Saints, signing to their practice squad. Has played 12 games in the NFL with 1 start. All of those with Houston. Spent last season on the Jets practice squad. Former offensive lineman Will Clapp, we told you was waived by the Buffalo Bills. He's back. They signed him to the practice squad. Micah Baskerville, who we told you had a great game in preseason week 3 for Chicago, has signed with the Bears practice squad, so he's hanging around a little bit there. And then Neil Farrell, former LSU defensive tackle, of course, signing with the Kansas City Chiefs practice squad there. Angel Reese fell short of a double-double last night, but did grab 14 rebounds in the Skies' loss to the Mystics. And we'll wrap it up. Sam Burns, FedEx Cup Playoffs Tour Championship, final leg over there at East Lake. Sam opened up at 4 under par. They do that staggered start. Shot 4 under today. Slow start on the front, but came in, made 5 birdies on the back to come in 31 for the 4 under 67. He is tied for 4th at the Tour Championship, but is 8 shots off the lead of Scotty Scheffler, who got to start at 10 under par because he wins damn near every tournament that he plays, and that's what happens. You end up number 1 in the FedEx Cup standings. That is Tigers in the pros. Before we grab a break, a couple thoughts on the slate tonight in college football, and then we'll get you to Otter Locks to wrap things up. Really interested to see how things go for Max Johnson tonight with North Carolina when they face Minnesota. That game got pushed back. Minnesota's just I don't think your mic was on, Cade.
We'll have that game on the radio at 7 o'clock, North Carolina and Minnesota.
It got pushed back to 8. Are we still going to have it?
It got pushed back to 8?
It got pushed back to 8.
It's been nice to know from the network. So, yeah, I guess we will have it at 8.
All right, so we'll have that at 8. You'll get to hear former
News to me.
LSU.
Just scheduling play-by-play.
That's not good if it's news to you, Cade.
It's seriously, it got moved to 8?
It got moved to 8, yeah, weather. 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
Oh, fantastic.
I think you're going to have like some type of thunderstorm or something, lightning and everything.
Good.
Can't play football. But yeah, so, hey, tune in, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge locally, and you can hear that or on the app as well. And Max Johnson will try to, get North Carolina season off to one. He's replacing Drake May. That's going to be really interesting. And then, of course, the other one is the other one that everyone's going to really keep an eye on is Coach Prime in Colorado State. Matt mentioned that earlier in North Dakota State. It's interesting. North Dakota State, man, they've got that aura around them. But really, if you pay attention to the FCS even a little bit, even if it's just the playoffs when that's on and there's nothing else on before bowl season starts, you've seen them kind of take a little bit of a step back by their standards. They're not playing for national championship every year, but that should be a pretty entertaining game. I'll tell you one that I'm interested to see too is Missouri. I mean, Missouri's they're gonna just boat race Murray State, but let's see how much Missouri resembles what they were a year ago now, following it up. You have plenty back offensively, but following it up, and then you'll get your first look at their defense without Blake Baker. So, I mean, look, like I said, Murray State's not going to present that much of a challenge. Missouri's going to boat race them, but it's your first look at a team that many people think can backdoor into the playoff. For them, they have to win just about every game that they play in order to do that because the schedule just isn't that tough for Missouri, and one loss could ultimately end up being their undoing when it comes down to getting into the playoffs. So I think that'd be a fantastic test case, a one-loss SEC Missouri team or maybe a two-loss SEC team who had a stronger strength of schedule. There's just going to be a lot of things that present itself here in this first year of the playoff. And then the games to watch this weekend, obviously, I think A&M, we had Lee Sterling on earlier. I think A&M actually beats Notre Dame. Both defenses are very good. I think A&M's is slightly better, and I'm just not sold that Riley Leonard's healthy. And if he's not healthy and he can't use his legs with 2 new tackles for Notre Dame, that's going to be really tough against that A&M defense on the road at night in College Station. I think A&M actually does win that game. And
we have that game on the radio. Did the time change for that?
The time did not change for that.
Good.
That one's set, ready to go. So that one as well on 104.5 ESPN.
Kate, what about that Florida game?
That's where I was going next.
Okay,
I was about to ask. Do we have that one?
Yes.
Okay.
The midday game.
The midday game.
Yep.
Time hasn't changed on that one. Florida is having a whiteout, even though their colors are orange and blue, which is interesting. But yeah, choices were made. Miami is actually wearing all white into the game, which is actually pretty cool. To kind of just stick it to them. And I think Florida has a hell of a chance to win that football game. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on that. All right, we're going to grab a break, come back. We'll continue the preview. Otter is here to give us some picks. College football gets started tonight. Otter Locks is next.
After further review.
Brought to you by Action Industries. Maintenance managers, turnaround coordinators, looking to hire someone to come do work in your plant, in your refinery, you get that proposal across your desk from Action Industries, makes you take a long, hard look. Because my friends over at Action Industries are just awesome. They're awesome people, and they're a great local business that's been serving our community since 1982. So 42 years. Listen, there are some enormous industrial contractors. They're great companies, great businesses. But do you ever feel like your 100-person job isn't the most important thing to that mega company, that mega contractor? Well, with Action Industries, you would be their number one priority. You are getting all of their best people. And Action Industries, their safety record beats the industry standard. And look, the quality of their work is why they keep getting hired time and time again for into 5 decades now. It's Action Industries. Check them out online. Action Industries, proud partner of LSU Athletics.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Further review with Matt Moscona.
All right, wrap it up. Hour number 3 of AFR, wrapping up a Thursday edition. College football starts tonight. Let's get to it. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
All right, well, when Otter's not in Del Mar and you can't find him in Baton Rouge, normally you can find him in Las Vegas. So let's head out there. Otter, how's Sin City?
Man, it is great. We had a great show. 2 great guests, Matt Humans from Beeston, Paul Stone, a college football handicapper from Texas, was with us at the Cabana, and Charlie doing cannonballs. Man, it was a blast, baby. So And, man, a lot of excitement brewing over here, too. I'll be watching the games tonight with the owner, Derek Stevens, here, this unbelievable facility at Circa. And, you know, the RSVPs for the party tomorrow, 5 to 9 p.m. Again, you know, got an RSVP. It's free. You got an RSVP at Las Vegas, CircaLasVegas.com. We're at 1,700 and counting.
That's going to be a time.
Yes, it's got all the makings of an absolute crap show. So, I mean, you know. But, man, how about football, man?
Let's go, Otter.
Rutgers right now up 7-0 with a pick six. Rutgers, man, an advantageous schedule to say the least. They don't play Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, or Oregon in the Big Ten. So we gave out there over 6, but a little sluggish offensively, which happens in the first game. It's the week of ugly offensive football. But we're going to go to Boulder, Colorado, and, you know, reports, my buddy Patrick Everson from VegasInsider.com says the bookmakers are, their biggest scare is Colorado. I saw it touch 11 at one point here at Circa. It's at 10.5 most places. We like North Dakota State. North Dakota State and the over. So Paul Stone really likes the over and made a really strong case for it. Colorado's going to be very good on offense, but still kind of lacking on the defensive side. And then a team that I like their schedule, North Carolina is going to be favored in 11 of their 12 games. Only at Florida State they have a chance to be on. But that doesn't mean they're going to win all of their games because they have an advantageous schedule. That line, they opened up the underdog. Now Carolina is the favorite. We're going to go with the Gophers for Minnesota plus the point in that game tonight as well.
All right, so we got North Dakota State, looking at 10 at DraftKings. North Dakota State plus the 10, over 55, and we got the Gophers plus 2. Anything else tonight, Otter?
We're going to take a little swing of Florida Atlantic as well.
Okay.
So, I think they can hang around in that game. So we're going to take Florida Atlantic plus 14 in that one.
All righty. Live at lunch from Circa Stadium Swim again tomorrow, Otter?
Yeah, Football Friday, extra hour. So we'll come on from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time, and then, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Here in Vegas time. Get ready for the downtown pep rally tomorrow, 5 to 9 p.m.
Y'all go get out there and see the guys if you're in Vegas. Otter, we appreciate it, man. Enjoy the trip. See you next week when you get back.
Good luck, buddy.
Good luck. That is Jimmy Ott. That's going to wrap it up for After Further Review. Otter, North Dakota State plus the points and the over in that game. Minnesota plus the points and a swing at FAU plus the points as well. That's going to wrap it up. Matt's live from Vegas tomorrow on AFR.
After Further Review.
We're brought to you by Optimize. Go to generatorpeople.com, generatorpeople.com. You want a Generac automatic home standby generator? Let me rephrase. Of course you do. So why should you go with Optimize? 2 reasons. Number 1, the affordability. They have financing options to fit any budget, and you get your upfront quote price, meaning whatever they quote you on site. It's not like they're going to come back later and there's going to be fees and install fees and techs. And no. Whatever that number is that they quote you, boom, that's it. Turnkey installation. When they're done, it is ready to roll if the power goes out. Number 2, that's all they do at Optimize. They're not a business, an electrical business that does 10 different things. They do one thing. They sell, service, and install Generac automatic home standby generators. They got 4 locations across the 10-12 corridor. So it doesn't matter if you're in Lake Charles, Slidell, or any point in between. They are Louisiana's #1 Generac dealer. Optimize. Go to generatorpeople.com. Easy website, generatorpeople.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to